All right. This thing says I'm live. This is public record. At least so we think. Tech giants are censoring everything these days. Check out my studio. Holy shit, my computer's lagging. Hello, hello. Got my green screen set up. It's how you make good content, folks. All right, here we go. I just tried to set up the stream like 5 times, and YouTube kept telling me cannot go live, giving me an error, and then just making me set the whole damn thing up again. It takes like 5 minutes to type in a bunch of bullshit details that don't even matter. I record a lot of videos to my personal hard drive as a vlog that I just start ranting to myself. It's kind of journaling. It's kind of like therapy. Get a lot of ideas out. I also take a lot of notes on paper. I also take a lot of notes in Notion. And so between all of these things, I do a lot of self-reflection. And I have a lot of ideas that I want to tell, a lot of stories I'd like to tell. And I've thought about making YouTube content forever. But there's a lot of things that hold me back. It's like the time and effort to produce something worthy. And then is it good enough? That's kind of the continuous cycle of second guessing myself, of switching from one idea to another. And well, so I have a story to tell, and I've thought about trying to tell it before, and that's why I started recording some videos to myself and thought about editing them and maybe uploading them. But God knows I don't have the focus to edit one of my own boring ass videos. So if I go live like this, it's public. It's already uploaded. I don't even have to question whether I should or should not upload it. The big question about, I've made so many of them, and after I'm done recording, I'm like, that was pretty decent. Maybe I should just upload this. Maybe somebody will appreciate what I had to say. And I don't, because I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure I'd get 0 views, and that would just piss me off, because like, why am I going to take the 15 minutes or a half hour or whatever it's going to take to upload this thing and then go and check in on it and wonder if anyone's watching it, knowing that I'm probably not going to get any views, and then just confirm that I'll get like 3 views that are probably just bots or YouTube, being compassionate and faking some views or something. You can't really trust them. I've been trying to do shit online for a while now, and I don't trust any of the analytics numbers. They all just seem fishy as fuck. Am I allowed to say fuck on YouTube? I would think so. I set this thing to not for kids, so I would guess that they're transcribing everything that I say into subtitles, and so if I use the F word, then they know it, and they probably shouldn't show this to children, so that's fine with me. Well, where do I start? I'm a complex person with a lot of things going on in my head. Like I said, I take a lot of notes. I could go through my notes and just start talking about the ideas that I've had. I need to make some money. That's a big one. I've been stuck in this basement here for 10 years or so trying to figure out how to make money online. Maybe I want to make some content. Maybe I want to make websites, videos, apps, games. I tried to produce some music on Fiverr and Upwork recently. I've tried a lot of things. I've tried selling stuff on Gumroad. I've tried running ads to boost, the whole thing. Some people figure it out. I haven't been able to figure out. I've only failed a couple times. I've only done enough to consider my effort a failure a couple times. Most of the time, my ideas stay in the ideation stage. Well, so I don't think anyone's going to watch this. There's 0 viewers right now, and there's already 5 minutes in. And so this is part of the dilemma I always have with these videos is, what do I say? And is anyone going to watch? And I think probably not. But I do want to cut to the chase. My stream seems to be skipping a little bit here. Why are the time code is jumping by 5 seconds at a time? Does that mean it's lagging or something? Anyway, so here's the gist. I think I can fix the internet. And that's a bold statement coming from somebody who's been unemployed for the last 5 to 10 years. I used to be a web developer. I'm big into software design and development, at least surface level and a conceptual level. I'm a big picture thinker. I went to school for business. This is not necessarily my, uh, my major in college. Although college is bullshit, the internet is bullshit. It's like we have so much knowledge, we have so much success, and we have so much incompetence at the same time, and so much like missed opportunity or lack of, you know, efficiency or production or whatever. And I experience it personally, and because being human is not easy. Staying focused is not easy, but there's something really strange going on with the creative process. It's like a spiritual thing. And if you've ever tried to, you know, focus diligently on one thing and have had a hard time doing so and kind of fight with yourself to be creative, solve problems, stay focused on the task at hand. Some people I think have a easier time than others. But there's a lot of kind of influences like coffee, caffeine, energy drinks, Adderall, marijuana, lots of things that can influence your creative abilities. And you're going to become dependent on it. And then you can't really work without it. And that's where I'm at. I can't really work without coffee and cannabis. So that's absolutely a big part of the problem. The dilemma there is that the cannabis also empowers my brain to think more powerfully, at least for a half hour to an hour, to get shit done. To think about, to get back on the saddle and think about the ideas that I have. Sometimes I'll come down here and I will just do absolutely nothing. I'll try not to smoke. I realize that the discipline that I'm lacking is killing me, and I'd like to work without smoking, but I'll just sit here and pull my hair out for a half hour to an hour before I'm like, all right, fuck it, I'm gonna smoke, because I'd rather work on something a little bit different than what I'm supposed to be working on than, sit here and bang my head against the wall. So that's a game I play on repeat every day for years and years and years. When I smoke, I get in the zone. What happens when I, get in the zone is always unpredictable, and just a flood of information and ideas start coming to me. And I write them down as quickly as I can. And it works, but it doesn't help me get anywhere useful. And I wouldn't really say that. Like, I think everything that I'm always trying to be productive even when I'm high. It's not like I'm just sitting here eating potato chips. I'm, using that time to pursue useful ideas. Like, and a lot of times they're right up my alley in terms of design, development, software, the internet, social media, marketing, startups, making money. I like to make big money. I'm pretty sure I have positioned myself properly, but it seems like life has sort of tried to, box me into a corner here and not let me succeed. And I'm not sure why that is, because in a lot of ways, I feel like there's spiritual influences trying to help me. Like when I get high, I feel like I just receive this flood of information that are just amazing ideas. And it's like, where do those come from? I don't think they're really coming from my brain. Most of the time, I'm not even really thinking about these things. They just kind of pop into my head. And I realize the brain and the subconscious are terribly complex things that I can't understand. But where did we come from? Is there really a God? And is there a system, a spiritual system that we can't see? Seems most probable. And have we played the game of life before? If you've ever played StarCraft or any game of civilization building, you know that, researching the next upgrade is not something that's like a once in a lifetime thing. It's like you play the game and you start over and play it again and again. And I think It's most likely that humans have played the game of life many times, and that this is just some sort of learning experience. I don't know. It's too painful for me to chalk it up as just a learning experience. I think life is bullshit. And if I had a choice of whether to play this game again, I hope to God I don't decide to play this game again. I think whoever's in charge of the spiritual accounting is, if not full of shit, setting a huge trap and baiting people into, you know, getting trapped, becoming dependent, and living lives of pain just trying to keep their head above water. And it's, you know, I'm getting a little bit off topic, but this is my struggle. And this is why I want to share my story, is because I've been trying to share my story for decades now. I mean, I've been miserable on and off, and I've had such a strange time of trying to make sense of life. And it's like, you have all the movies trying to, I started questioning life. What is life? I was raised Catholic, and started questioning the idea of God. And for a while was kind of like leaning atheist, like, not really sure about this. And then, would do the whole like, fuck you, God thing. God's a cunt, by the way. Like, I cannot fathom what the hell is going on here, because, God, if God is perfect and knows what I'm going through, then fuck you, God. Like, seriously, like, this is just such bullshit. I'm done with it. And you know that. And we've been there for like the last 30 years or whatever. So there's that. And obviously God would know that if he knew what I was going through. And so then the next question is like, well, so what else could be the answer? And I've gone around in circles on that endlessly, especially while smoking weed. And there is no good answer, but I do think that life has we've probably been to the future before. I just see a lot of really fishy things going on. And, well, it seems like the technology that we have we hardly understand it. I mean, there's a few people who understand the technology, but most people just kind of, it's like all this AI stuff. It's like, whoa, this is some serious stuff. And I don't know if anyone really understands what's going on. But it's been that way, radio waves, really, like microwaves to heat up our food. This is all like witchcraft. And we just sort of like, yeah, whatever, no big deal. But it almost seems like alien technology or something, or at least future technology. And so then it occurs to me, what if we are aliens? That there's a future, civilization of humanity out there, and that we are kind of a rollback. We have rolled back the technology. There's a movie, The Village, I think it's M. Night Shyamalan, where this guy, a community of people, take their families into the woods and live a simpler life. It's like, yeah, that could be what we've done here on planet Earth. But we lived here for potentially hundreds of thousands of years. And what about the dinosaurs? What is spirituality? Are all creatures like actual equal beings that have... Where do we come from? Where do we go? Nobody really knows these things. But consciousness is a crazy thing. It is the essence of life. And by consciousness, I mean experience, spirituality. It's like whatever's going on in your head, whatever you think and feel, and why and how, and what other factors are going on. It's like you and your brain. And you sort of are your brain, but like, I don't know. There's some crazy shit going on there. Well, anyway, so I don't know if I should tell you my name. Anonymity online is kind of a weird thing. There's a lot of scary stuff going on politically, and I don't want to put a target on my back necessarily, although maybe I do. I'm just kind of done with this shit. And what do I really want to come of this? There's already almost 15 minutes. I'd like to make a video once a day. Maybe not once a day, but once a week. Just kind of giving an update about what I'm doing. I think they probably should stay less than 15 minutes so that I don't bore people with my rambling. I didn't prepare for this video at all, and this is kind of how things go. And then, my brain jumps from one idea to another, and 15 minutes later, it's like, what did I actually say? Well, I'm struggling. I want to be successful. I want to make money online. I know there's a lot of people trying to do this on like YouTube and social media and e-commerce and all this stuff, and it's a shit show because everybody's kind of like freaking out because they need to make money, and some people more than others. And that pressure is sort of what leads you down the path. But then you start, because at least in my case, I kind of panic and be like, I don't have time. I know my brain power is so diminished, and like my ability to focus and um, stay focused on one task for more than a day is like it doesn't exist. So I'm always looking for something quick and easy that I think I can do that's going to be worth the time. And that unfortunately is not how life works. It's like we humans we can barely remember our phone number, and trying to stay focused on one thing, especially when you have focus issues and dependency issues, is yeah. So the trap of life, this pursuit of success it's ruined me. It's wrecked me. Absolutely. I have no friends. I have no money. I have student loans that I've been avoiding for the last 10 years. I graduated in 2010. So that's like coming up on 14 years ago. Um, and not only do I have a lot of student loans, my mom took out a lot of student loans, and I think we got most of those paid off, but my uncles had to help out, and it's just a mess. And my education was such horseshit. It's like, that's a scam. And I've always felt like bitter against the universities for screwing me over, because the educational process, like the experience, was terrible. I like going to the rec center and playing basketball, and I was in a fraternity, which was like, meh. But classes were just so awful. I just never went. And then I would like cram before the test, and I never liked what I was studying. It all just seemed bullshit. There's like a small handful of things that I could take away. Like, and I went to business school essentially. One of the acronyms I remember is SWOT, SWOT, your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. It's like, bam, you don't need to go to school for 4 years to learn that shit. Just told you right there. That's all you need to know. Like, remember the basics. So more than $100,000 later, after 3 years of out of state tuition and 2 years of in state tuition, I got my shitty degree with my shitty GPA and couldn't get a job, and was working a door to door. I was working for Comcast, selling TV and internet services door to door for a year or so in Detroit in the winter. It was cold as fuck outside, and nobody wanted to keep their door open long enough to talk to you. It was brutal. And that's what I paid several $100,000 to go do. And it's like, what the fuck, man? It's so bad. It's like, how can anyone... I mean, well, life is bad. There's just so much terrible shit going on. I don't want to compare my life to anyone else's, because I've had it pretty cushy, especially the last 10 years. And right now, I have the time in the middle of the morning here to sit and stream to YouTube with 0 viewers, still not a single fucking viewer on this goddamn website. Why can't somebody make a social media website where people can actually be social? People can actually, like, put themselves out there and get some views. Well, it's because I don't have any subscribers. And that's always been the problem for me on social media, is getting started. It's so fucking hard. I need some money. I love playing StarCraft. StarCraft is a game of multitasking, and it's an economy. It's spending your money efficiently, quickly, not wasting your resources, and then obviously the strategic battle of countering your opponent. But I think anyone who can play StarCraft effectively could be a very successful business person. But it's a lot easier to click your mouse around and push the keyboard than it is to get off your ass and stay focused and raise some money and rent a storefront or set up shop or whatever you're trying to do. So I've come to realize that. I don't know how I get out of this. I don't want investors. I'm not going to sell out. I have big ideas. So maybe my next video will be about my big ideas. I want to fix the internet. I want to make a web framework that's hands down the best web framework in the world, that's doesn't compete. Nobody can compete with it because it takes all of the bullshit of making apps and websites and even publishing to social media, integrate all that shit, content creation, all of your Adobe, all of your Figma, Notion, all of your like Discord, all that cool media streaming, integrate that shit into one platform. This isn't just a framework, folks. It is a framework, but it's like all the code that you need to set up all the cool software. If you get that shit flowing properly, well, and we can do this right now. Like, it all the infrastructure sort of exists. It's just there's so much stinky bullshit in between getting an actual website up and running. It's like these tech giants have thousands and thousands of developers, and yet their platform hardly changes. It's like they kind of like slowly add a couple features, but gets distracted. I mean, I don't know. I could go on and on about. I'm not saying software design and development's easy. There's, just using this YouTube studio right here, there's a million little buttons all over the screen and all kinds of features and workflows, and getting shit to even just work is really hard because bugs are the default. And to even make a buggy program means that you're standing on the shoulders of giants. You've, used this, just to have a computer that works is a miracle in a lot of ways. But so is DNA. And that shit came before like bacteria and viruses. And so there's some, it's like, how did DNA evolve? DNA is like a computer system. No, it's it's the code and it's the machinery, and it's at the microscopic level. And I don't see how any way that could have evolved without some sort of intelligent hand. And so I'm calling bullshit on the whole thing. I think there are likely people, I don't know if they're aliens or spirits or whatever, that are playing this game that know more about the truth of what's going on. I find that very likely. And that's fucking bullshit. So own up. And there's a lot of people in pain. And if you want to shoulder that responsibility by not helping and not letting people know what you know about, like, how did we get here? What's really going on? I don't know. Maybe nobody knows. Maybe that's how the game works. But there's some really fishy business going on. If you're into any conspiracy theories, you know what I'm talking about. If you've watched the news, like the politics of Trump and Biden and Russia and Ukraine and the election was bullshit. There was like no investigation into the whole stolen election. The only thing that I saw was that they were trying to cover it up. And it seemed pretty obvious that they were just doing a massive like media campaign to like to criticize anyone who would speak against anything that they were doing, from COVID to vaccines to like the election. If you question anything, they're locking people up. It's absolutely ridiculous, and the truth is not coming out. And then all this transgendering bullshit. It's like, what the fuck are we doing, people? All right, so I've spoken my piece. I have a lot to say. If anyone ever watches this and you're still watching after 25 minutes, I want to say thank you. And if you can give me a little bit of time to check back in with me on occasion to see how I'm doing, I need an audience. I need help. And I also, just being able to post these videos online will help me frame my thoughts a little bit better and rehearse these. It's like a pitch. I need to get better at it. I need to shrink it down, and I need to stay hyper focused on one thing. I need to make a video about like what I want to do with the internet. Use JavaScript to make a full stack framework, Node on the back end. I wrote a front end framework that's super simple and easy and doesn't need any like virtual DOM bullshit. And we need the design tool, the integrated design and development experience. That's like one tool, one screen. I mean, it's kind of like CodePen or something, like one of these little like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Webflow I used for a minute, but they're kind of jackasses, and there's a lot of potential for streamlining the whole software design and development ecosystem. And there's an enormous amount of potential for people to make money contributing a little bit. But like the whole problem with the open source software system right now is that everyone's contributing for free because that's how it has to work, and nobody's getting paid because that's like the only way it's worked so far, because nobody's figured out how to monetize, how to put smart licensing kind of contracts, bake it in so that it can't be cost prohibitive. You don't want prices to reduce the usage. Like you need people, it's got to be free to try and use. And then once you get to the point where I actually applaud Unity and Unreal for trying to keep their software free and help people use it. I used Unity for a couple weeks, a couple months ago to build a video game, and I burned out halfway through. And that's a whole nother story. Once I get started, I swear to God, I'm going to kick ass and take names. Every single company out there has a big ass target on their back, and I want to seek and destroy. I'm so fucking tired of all these people being successful, being happy, posting their pictures and all their social media shit online, and just, standing in the face of everyone else who's suffering, and nobody's standing up to be like, hey, what the fuck are we doing here? $100 billion is going to Ukraine. Yeah, let's vote for Biden. Like, no, fuck that guy. I mean, Trump tried to get $5 billion to build a wall. I didn't think building a wall is a good idea. I think we should develop economic development and turn Mexico into the resort it should be. It is in a lot of ways, but like, money changes people's lives. Instead of pursuing a life of crime and, these drug cartels, they can pursue lives of, open restaurants and resorts and activities, and we can all thrive. But like, for some reason, there's economic pressure that seems to be like reinforced by at least some people. Maybe not. It could just be that life is really hard and that nothing happens automatically. And so like there's a lot of hoops that need to be jumped through. But then you got, some of this global elite satanic pedophile bullshit. Don't even get me started on that. YouTube and Google and all the social media places like to censor that shit real quick. They get pressured by, probably slapped with lawsuits or whatever. People get compromised. They get you on videotape, like doing something you weren't supposed to do. They threaten you to release it. They threaten to suicide you and make your family disappear. They're like, look, we did this to a handful of other people. Once they get shit on you, you're fucked. You're like, they got you by the balls. You do whatever the fuck they want you to do. And I think that's probably how most of our government works right now, is that they're all compromised, because that's how the CIA works, is that they get dirt on you and then they fuck you up. So I will say, a lot of people go to the extent of saying, I am not suicidal. I would not kill myself. So if that happens, something's fishy. I have been suicidal. That's another thing I'd like to talk about. I know this is a 30-minute video, but what the fuck? I've been suicidal since I was a teenager. I've always been kind of like, life sucks, and it's just never. Occasionally I would be interested in something or be in a good mood, but a lot of times it was just, a lot of bullshit. Like, just a lot of discomfort, a lot of uncomfortable experiences. And most of life was that way. I mean, then we get to eat, yummy food and ice cream, and life is good again. But life is hard. And if you, well, suicide is a thing that's, it's hard to talk about because you don't know what everyone is going through. And I don't know if I'm a big old pussy and just whining and not putting up enough effort in life. But I can also tell you that I've tried to become a guru of willpower, let's say, to abstain from things during, let's say, Lent or even longer. And I've fasted for a whole week, water only for 7 days. Fasted for, 5 days or 3 days on a bunch of occasions. I can give up the caffeine and cannabis and alcohol, which I love drinking. You know, I can give it all up for months on end, and it helps a little bit, but I mean, like, not enough to make it worth it. It's a huge sacrifice, and so I'm like, I don't know if I want to do that anymore. I mean, there's always a little bit of benefit, but it's like that's a huge cost to give up all that enjoyment for just a little bit of a gain. And anyway, so suicide is a thing where it's so subjective, it's so personal, it's internal. It's like I don't know what you're going through, and you don't know what I'm going through. If I tell you my life has been hard, you could be like, "Come on, dude." If I told you what I've gone through, you know, the circumstances of my life right now, like the fact that I don't have to go to work right now. I'm unemployed, but my wife works, and I'm sort of a stay-at-home dad. But now my youngest is in preschool 6 hours a day, and so I have most of the day to do whatever the fuck I want. And you might think like, wow, you're a lucky dude, you know, you can do whatever you want. And it's like, well, walk a mile in my shoes. Everybody's circumstances are different, and how hard have you tried, and how long have you been suffering, and all of these questions are impossible to measure. So I tried to kill myself a few times. I bought a giant bottle of vodka, half gallon, drove to the top of like a 6 or 7 story parking garage, parked at the edge on top on the roof, started drinking heavily, and walked to the edge and looked down. Thankfully, my buddy called me, and after a nice little chat, I was hammered. I passed out in my car, and I'm still here, but that was one of the times I tried to kill myself. I mean, I didn't jump, but I don't know if I could have. I think there's so much potential in life. I want to build businesses. I want to build resorts. I want to build, you know, real estate and houses. And, you know, the houses that we build with these 2x4s and cardboard is like ridiculous, man. They leak and they rot and they bow and warp and leak and rot and bugs and mice in the walls. Had squirrels in the fireplace, had raccoons in the attic. It's insane, man. It's absolutely insane. The plumbing is all fucked. It just keeps backing up the sludge and puking all over the lower level. It's like, god damn it. I've had it cleaned out, but anyway, our housing system sucks. The houses that we built are these cheap little things that are way too expensive, but like I guess that's just the way it is. But I have a lot of ambitions in life to build a better building system. It's got to be like Legos. It's got to be, you know, quick and efficient and reduce the cost and increase the size and space and quality and make it simple and easy and affordable for people to have housing. It's like there's all these refugees all over the world looking for places to go. It's like if we spent $100 billion on affordable housing, we'd be able to house like all 7 billion people on the planet. Like if you did it efficiently, like $100 billion is an insane amount of money. It's just we're not making good decisions with the money. We're going to a war. We're killing. It's like if your neighbor was murdering your other neighbor's children, you pay for that, like give them guns to keep it going. Like I don't know, man. I mean, I guess it's complicated, but I think it's fishy as fuck. When there's $100 billion on the line, you got to start questioning why is Putin really fighting this fight? Is somebody, you know, twisting his arm? Very probable. And the media is doing the worst possible job. Listen to Tucker Carlson for more than a minute, and you know that this whole thing is so fucked. It's so absolutely fucked. The way the media works, the way the government works, the way they're lying to everyone, and how half the country seems to just jump on board and be like, yeah, you know, Black Lives Matter. Let's go steal shit. Let's go loot stores and burn shit down. And I don't know. There's a lot of stupid shit going on. It's all bullshit. And I think they know it. I think it might be part of their plan to sow discourse. Discourse isn't the word. Discord? I'm missing the word I'm looking for, but um division. I don't know if they're orchestrating it. I often wonder, there's a lot of conspiracy theories about, rich people and what they're trying to do. And in a lot of ways, like, rich people are probably just trying to enjoy themselves and go on vacations and deal with their own bullshit. And so, but maybe this is a good way to end my little stream here. Let's talk about 9/11. There is so much smelly bullshit when it comes to 9/11. I've been looking into this since it happened, and I know a lot of people have. And there's so much to unpack there. But we can't ignore these things as if it's just not happening, because the proper investigations have not happened. And it's so suspicious that either like Bush was framed to make it look like he was in on it, or he was in on it. And either way, they haven't released, like they haven't given us the whole story. It's like the Saudis were involved, like they're also blaming it on Bin Laden, but like Bin Laden, as far as I know, he was sort of a Saudi, but he had like left. He was an outcast. He wasn't really in that. He wasn't really in with the Saudi government. He was sort of like, I don't know if he was at odds with them, but the fact that the Saudi government was working to orchestrate 9/11 is unbelievable. And I think, there's lawsuits and shit filed to try and expose all of this, but the legal system seems to be working against the truth. And I can't believe it. It's like, is there no good people trying to stand up for justice? And so there must be the people who are, pushing for the truth. But then you have like, I guess we probably just have lawyers trying to protect the other side, like protect the government and all the money and the intelligence community and defense contracting and the military industrial complex. So we have some problems to solve, people. And I'm probably going to get myself suicided for even talking about this. But there's a lot of people talking about it now. It's just, I guess they're very bold and they don't really care. So more to come. If you ever watch this video, you know a little bit about where I'm coming from. You know that I've tried to kill myself. You know that I want to start some big businesses. That I know what I'm talking about when it comes to design and development and video and how the internet works and computer science. Now, I'm not a computer scientist, which is very, very strange to me. This is one of these things that I've been trying to put together for my whole life. Like, my dad worked for IBM. He sold computers in the 80s to businesses before there was even like personal computers, like these massive mainframes and shit. So I sort of had a leg up on the whole computer thing. We always had computers like since I was young, like old school Windows, like 95 and shit. And yeah, so the fact that I know only a little bit about computer science, the ones and the zeros, and how like the operating system works, it's pretty complex, but it's also pretty simple. And I was never taught these things. This is the thing in life, is like you're taught so much shit that you probably don't need to know, and then you don't really learn the things that you need to know. And I know that's like an impossible game to play, and that everyone's like pulling for their own interests to be taught or whatever. Everybody thinks different things are important, and everything is sort of important to certain people at certain times, and so that's kind of an impossible challenge. But some of the most important things, and especially just the surface level, we don't do a good job of organizing our information and teaching the kind of big picture, easy to understand and very influential topics, like how the world works, what is electricity, how do you make a product and market it and make money? How does a mortgage work, and what are the things you should look out for when you're buying a house? So I'm going to keep going, because if there's any chance anyone's still watching this video, you're probably going to be interested in, well, you might anyway, be interested in the rest of what I have to say. So I'd like to create a mastermind community, and I don't know how to do it. I've been thinking about it for years, I've attempted it a couple times. I need people to pay me money so that I can justify working on it. Otherwise, like, I don't know if I could stay focused. And, I have student loans I have to pay off. I need to figure out how to get some income flowing. And I would much rather make a product and sell it, make a course, make some content, premium content, and sell it. But the creative spirit that empowers me to be intelligent and to have ideas steps back and leaves me on my own after I try and commit to something. And then I guess I don't have the power to see it through. I've tried a lot of different things, a lot of different times, and it doesn't really work. So, what can I do? Well, here's the idea of the mastermind community. If you're not familiar with a mastermind, it was introduced to me in the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, who spent his life studying successful people, including Andrew Carnegie. I believe he knew Carnegie because he was like in his time. I forget exactly. He interviewed a lot of the people that he talks about, like these, early American industrialists like Andrew Carnegie. Anyway, he Carnegie was a steel guy. He created the U.S. Steel Company, I believe, and the gist is he wasn't the best steel scientist or engineer or whatever. He just got a bunch of the best steel people into a room and said, "Okay, let's do what we want to do here," and it worked. And that's what we got to do for the internet and for the world. Let's just get the right people in the right spot and be like, "Okay, what do we need to do?" And I think I can facilitate that because I have a lot of things that I know we can do if we get the right people in the right place. And I think we could use Discord to do it. A combination of maybe Discord and YouTube live streams. But I really don't want to be streaming from my basement with this green sheet hanging behind me that I haven't figured out how to properly key out. um, I'd like to build a studio. I'd like to build a workshop. I'd like to, become somebody who, but I mean, I guess because I don't have the money, I don't deserve that. I need to figure out how to make money. Maybe I just need people. I'm looking for people who also want to learn how to make money. I don't know what I'm looking for. I don't know what would actually work. I'm just stuck. And frankly, I wasn't sure if I was going to come down here today and do anything. Sort of just feel like going back to bed. I mean, to say I'm depressed is like, I mean, after a whole lifetime of depression and being off and on suicidal, I mean, you know what it's like to pray not to wake up in the morning, like hundreds of days out of the year? It becomes so just kind of like laughable. It's like I sit down and I'm about to go to bed and I'm like, God damn it. I hate my life. I don't want to wake up in the morning. And I go to sleep and my alarm goes off in the morning and I'm not a morning person. And my routine is to get my kids out of bed and get them to school on time. And it only takes about an hour, but it's not a fun hour. It's me being angry and grumpy and yelling at them constantly for a whole hour. Every 1 to 3 minutes, one of them is doing something stupid, and I have to yell at them to get them to get their shit together and to keep going. And then I have to start threatening them within about 10 minutes. And it just keeps going like this the entire time. And I'm basically like, it's madness and it eats me up and it's killing me. It's like I would literally, I haven't said the prayer not to wake up in the morning in a while because I'm trying to stay out of that mind space as much as I can. But for years and years and years, I was just done. Like, I don't want to kill myself. I have kids. I don't know what, that message that sends to them. Like, they would have to deal with that for the rest of their life, that their dad killed themselves. And it's like, I know there's a lot of parents who have, and their kids have to deal with that. And I can't imagine what that's like. But life is hard. And I'm not going to cry. Not on a live stream with 0 people watching. That's for damn sure. I need to grow an audience. I'd like to do that on Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, whatever the fuck people will listen to me on. I do have a lot of LinkedIn subscribers, followers. I took the entire JavaScript email list once and added them on LinkedIn. So I think I have like 2,000 LinkedIn connections. Anyway, this has been 45 minutes and I've gone around in circles about all the things. These are all the things that weigh me down, that keep me back. And now you know a little bit more about me and who I am and what I'm trying to do with my life. And I don't know if anything's going to come of it. I'm not giving up. I've been doing this 10 years. So if you're going to give up on me, then fine. Like, I understand this is a lot of bullshit. Click off. Go do what you were doing before. But if you've watched this for 45 minutes and if you don't believe in what I'm saying, I don't know, man. I think the truth is the most important thing in the universe, at least for humans. We can hardly remember 7 numbers. Knowing the truth is hard. Proving the truth is harder. Trusting people is, yeah. So I think trust and loyalty are some of the most important things. If I were to build an empire, I would want people that I can trust. And there's only one way to trust people. You have to build it very slowly. Every experience builds a little bit of trust. And how do you know you can actually trust somebody? You can't. Somebody can always stab you in the back. Anything else for the stream number 1? I literally have hours and hours and hours of me making this exact same pitch saved in my hard drive that I thought about uploading. But the amazing thing about this live stream is that I don't have to actually sit and upload it. It only takes a couple minutes to start it and an hour or so, half hour to let the video upload. But I could delete this stream, but it's something that I've been thinking about for a while. My dad was like, you don't want to tell people that you are suicidal because how does that make your family look and whatever. And it's like, you know what? Fuck off. Seriously, my dad gave me a lot of shit about this and was pretty, I don't know, uncompassionate, discompassionate. I don't know what the word is there, but he was pretty ruthless in terms of his reception of that. I love my dad, but love is a weird word, and I really don't like that word. My dad's been there for me, and yeah, I guess these are all things that we can talk about at another time. If you've watched this far and you want to follow along on my journey, I would like to do this again. I suspect that nobody is going to watch this, but one day when I become Elon Musk level successful, people might dig this video up and be like, damn, this dude was struggling for real. He was on the brink of giving up completely. I've already sort of given up completely. I just can't. I can't stay given up. I have to come back. I have to work and I have to try and finish what I started. I just can't. Life has pulled the chair on me. My brain power is like 0. I can't focus on anything. Here's a good way to end this. I've been thinking about smoking. I usually do around this time in the morning. I got this little vape pen. It's legal here in Illinois, so YouTube might block me. I'm not sure if this is allowed, but let's go. With the camera on. Yeah. That's how you know it's good. The camera on, I'm unlikely to get more as introspective as I could. Sometimes the experience is very deep. I started digging through a lot of baggage from the past, and like there's excuse me, all kinds of things that I've dealt with on a very deep level that are kind of these mysteries of life, like about masculinity and sexuality. And, I'm married, wife, kids. I want to make money. Thought about I I made $30,000 in a couple hours once. I was like 18 or 19. I was playing Texas Hold'em online. This is like in 2004 ish. Internet online poker was just becoming a big thing, and I played in the ultimate bet $200 buy-in tournament, and I forget how many people were in there, like 600 or something. And I took first place, and it paid $30,000. And that was crazy, man. I was like, I won the lottery as a 19-year-old kid. 30 grand is like infinite amount of money. Like you couldn't try to spend that amount of money. You can go to the bar and buy everyone drinks, pay for dinner, buy all kinds of useless toys online, and I did all that. It was like Richie Rich, right? I was a little irresponsible with the money, but I didn't care. I don't have any regrets about that. Now I did lose. It was at least 70. My highest point in my ultimate bet account was over 70,000, and I lost it all within a couple of weeks. And I put on the 15 that I had in the bank and lost literally all but a few $100s of that. I was on tilt, and because I had lost so much, there was just no stopping. It was like, if I don't repair this problem, I can't live with myself. I have to try, and I kept trying. And I was a decent poker player, but when I'd play heads up and I'd go on tilt. And my normal playing style was very aggressive, like bet every other, basically I'm always betting. Just like very few times I would fold unless they really put some pressure on me. And so I don't want to talk about poker. See, this is what happens when I smoke. I'm telling you a story about playing poker. But the point about having money is that money is a crazy thing. Imagine having $1 million. I know some of the people who will watch this. Well, if I don't know how many people will ever watch this. Maybe it never goes anywhere. But if, let's say, 1,000 people watch this in America, what percentage of Americans are millionaires? Got to be the top 10%, right? So 10 people out of 100 who watch this are going to be millionaires. Imagine having that kind of money. What would you do with it? Help people? Try and improve your life? Or even just go on, have great experiences? I think I could help people spend their money. I think for every dollar that's spent, there's very, very different ways to spend those dollars, especially when you're talking about $1,000 or $10,000. If you had let me find some millionaires and ask them how they spent their last $10,000. What did you get for it? I bet you anything it'll vary greatly. And maybe sometimes it's subjective. Like some people might spend $10,000 on a plant or something because they really wanted it. And other people will be like, no way in hell would I do that. But let me show you something. I bought these swords on Amazon for $30. I didn't realize that they were just sheet metal. And now it's sharpened, so there is some. It's not just flat. It actually looks like a pretty decent blade. Looks like a kitchen knife or something in terms of the quality of the serrated blade. And it's not terribly sharp, but it's a little sharp. It's hard to. There's terrible lighting in here. I need a better camera setup. I was actually, speaking of video production, I did video production in high school at Lasser High School in Bloomfield Hills, Michigan, and they had a very advanced. They had a TV studio in the high school. It was insane. Like, I can't imagine most high schools have the kind of camera setup that we did. We had 3 rooms. There was like an office for the teachers. There was a green screen studio room with like the metal scaffolding or whatever on the ceiling for the lights, a bunch of lighting, and then 4 or so cameras that were all wired into the next room where there was like this whole director studio setup. It was insane. It was like TV production 101. I probably should have gone into that, but by the time I graduated high school, I was already depressed as fuck. I was playing video games all the time. I don't think I'd started smoking weed yet. I think I did start drinking a little bit, thanks to my brother. My brother like got me into drinking and smoking, and in some ways, thank God he did, because I was I stayed away from that stuff to be smart and go to a good school. But when I got like more into playing video games and getting good grades, I decided, no way, like I'm not gonna study this bullshit when I could be slaying dragons. Play Ultima Online. Anyone who's ever played Ultima Online, you probably got like deep in the game. The game is like brilliant. It's so simple, and anyway, love to talk about gaming. MMORPGs are the only way to go. Can't play anything else. If it's not a community, an online MMORPG is basically an online game where everyone's playing in the same game in a persistent world. So it's like every time you log in, it's the exact same place, same economy. You can go to different cities. You can log out wherever you want usually, and you log right back in. And so you can meet people in the game by going to a certain city. A lot of games are like these instance-based, starts up and shuts down. But persistent games are different and more fun, especially when you can, in real time. I mean, right? Like, isn't an MMORPG just in every way better than a non MMORPG? Like, why would you not want to have that feature? I'm getting a little choked up because I ripped that vape pretty hard and still have 0 viewers. I don't know what I would do if somebody came in here. I'm getting kind of high right now. And I don't really like being around people when I'm high. I've always had that problem. Well, maybe not always. When I first started smoking, I'd just get so fucked up. I was usually drunk, so didn't really mind it so much. But I would get pretty stupid and just be like, you know. But then I don't like being kind of dumb high around people just because, you know, it makes you look bad. It makes you look stupid. And then you start thinking like, oh, does this person know I'm high? Do I want to act stupid? And then when you're kind of on another plane and then you have to like, you're constantly just worried about being high, bam, you're done. It just kills your high instantly. So I'm getting a little bit of that right now because I'm just smoked and I'm live. But marijuana is a crazy thing. I really think it like it elevates my brain power. So I like it. But it also just destroys me every day. Like by the time I'm done, by the time I'm coming down from this in an hour or so, I will be pretty useless. And I gotta go pick up Penny later. And I was just thinking, I'm gonna have to talk to, well, so I do have some potential exposure from uploading this video. Like the people that I interact with every day are like my wife and kids and the preschool teachers. I only interact with the preschool teachers for like 10 seconds or a minute tops, like as my daughter's getting in or out. But what if one of them saw this video? It's very, very unlikely because I don't, well, but then again, social media is just like an asshole sometimes for snooping around through your like phone book and then connecting you with people that like it could recommend this video to them just because I'm associated with them. I wonder if their algorithm has anything. I mean, there's got to be lots of people who would complain about that, right? Like, isn't this something that should have been handled by now? Like, if something is a potentially sensitive content, that it's, well, I think a lot of people just have their accounts private, and so that they don't have to worry about that. But that's the thing about trying to appeal to an audience is you got to be public. It's hard. Um, I'd like to be a better speaker. I think that speaking on camera is hard, but kind of fun and useful. It's like you're self promoting, and the better you get at it, like it's you have these characters who are very comfortable on camera. I think most people can get comfortable on camera. It's just a matter of practicing it and doing it. But some people probably don't want to be on camera. Um, hmm. So here's what I've often thought about these videos is that by this point, I'm looking at the time code on this video. It says an hour and 1 minute. And is anyone still would anyone still be watching at this point? And one of the lessons that I've learned that you should try and remember if you ever try and make content of any kind, if you do a presentation, if you make a video ad, if you post any content online, you want the first second, and then especially like the first 3 seconds, and the first 5 second. The first second doesn't necessarily have to be like instantly hooking, but if you're not do it, you kind of like you might have a little station ID that you don't want it more than a half a second or so. That's just like this real quick kind of attention grabber, and uh, then go right into really it's like the title of your video. That was one thing that I was kind of concluding about a lot of YouTube videos is that because of the way YouTube works and it's like this thumbnail and title, people look at the thumbnail, read the title, look at all the information in that little thumbnail or that little preview box. And you want the first thing that is said to match that. So you're kind of reinforcing the same idea. So if they click on it because of that, and then once they hear you say that again, they're like, okay, I'm in the right place. It rings that bell. You're familiar with the idea already, and then you follow through with it. I think that's a good overall strategy. So I'm feeling a little, feeling a little iffy. What if this video goes viral and people are like, wow, this guy's got a lot of baggage and he's smoking weed on camera and talking about killing himself and stuff? It comes back to bite me. Yeah, maybe. But I also was talking about a lot of other bullshit that could get me killed by the baddies in life. Yeah. Who wants to join me? So what can I do? Like that's really the big question is what can be done? I think creating a mastermind community with a Discord server would be a great way to do it. I would like to charge money, but I've been playing this game of how much should I what's the so you set up a price and a role. And so that role in the game is kind of like this little tag on somebody's profile that identifies them as somebody who's paying money. And so if you could join the Discord server for free, which I'd probably do, like, it's more like an optional payment and probably like some premium content. And how much and what kind of content can I give? And then how do I sell that to people as quickly as possible? It's like, it's too much to bite off all at once, or at least in the couple days time frame of like focus that I have. Like it has to be a very short term, something I can do in a relatively short amount of time, or else I know I'm not going to stay focused with it. Every day is like presents new challenges, and some days I can't work. I'm not in the headspace. Some days I have shit to take care of, and anyway, I can't seem to stay focused. I do come back to certain things frequently, but Here's the thing. What if I take this video and add it to the end of like an introduction and use that to try and hook people to join my mastermind? So I could say at the beginning of my ad that at the end of this hour-long video, I'm going to talk about my mastermind community. So you're going to learn a lot about me, and you're going to have an opportunity to join my mastermind community. I'd actually like to take this video down so that it doesn't come back and bite me later. It's a lot of exposure. Now people know all kinds of shit about me that they didn't necessarily need to know. Now, if you're willing to, maybe I should edit it down and do a like redacted version where I so publishing the full version, I could just unlist this thing so it's not public. That'd be a pretty easy thing to do. Then I can use it as an ad. Now, what I did the last time on my last little internet marketing experiment that sort of failed, I went into OBS, which is the program I use to vlog, just record myself with my laptop webcam, which is 720p, by the way. This is like shit quality, but I don't care about my setup right now. I'm just trying to get something done. For my last little experiment, I can tell you about that. I basically made a YouTube video and put a Gumroad page together. Gumroad is this little like checkout system so that you can sell stuff, and it's really easy to set up. I mean, it only took me a little. Setting up the bank account took a couple more minutes, but once you connect your bank account, you're all ready to accept payment. And so I was like, all right, let's go. Let me just whip together some YouTube videos and see if I can convince somebody to help me, to throw me some money to help run this marketing experiment just to see what happens. I was spending I said in the video, I'm going to spend hundreds of dollars doing this, but nobody seemed interested. It's like, I don't know, several thousand people apparently saw that video, and none of them are interested in participating in an internet marketing experiment and talking about like what works and what doesn't. And like, this is like a core skill for selling stuff. You gotta be able to get in front of people and tell them the right message, explain why they should buy your product. Anyway, that was kind of surprising, but the whole point of me bringing that up was that when I pushed record in OBS on that first video, I was just trying to get some like ideas out, maybe use the video, probably not use the video, just use the audio maybe, and tell a story about that internet marketing experiment that I was trying to run essentially. And by the end of the video, I was like, wait, what if I just use this video right now, no editing, just bam, let's go with it. Upload the video to YouTube, go to Google Ads, set up a campaign, pay money to run the ad in front of people, got thousands of views, got thousands of clicks, and didn't get a single sale. So I wasn't really selling anything. And I told people that. It's like, look, I was asking for $5. And eventually I took the price off. And I think a few people, a few hundred people came to the page after I'd taken the price off. I only said in the description that it's free if you want to, just join for shits and giggles. And nobody was even interested in it. I was kind of surprised. But I mean, the internet has become this like gourmet restaurant of content, of free content. It's like an all you can eat buffet of like decent content. So paying for content is kind of a strange thing. We pay for Netflix, most people do, or Disney Plus, and there's just endless memberships these days. Hulu and HBO. I don't have. I signed up for something called Curiosity Stream, which was very strange. It was decent quality stuff that was a little bit like, I wouldn't say low budget, but you could almost tell it was like mass produced. And I don't know, just the style was very consistent, like a narrator and pretty decent footage, but like it's kind of stale. Like it's not like they had a purpose, or like we're trying to. It's just kind of like a bunch of information at a medium pace, and you're just kind of like, I'm not really sure what I'm watching or why. I mean, some of it's interesting, things about history and stuff. But the thing that immediately occurred to me is like, who produced this? How much did it cost it? Because there's hundreds, if not thousands, of videos on there. That's all like this mass produced. It's almost like an AI was, it's like rate me 1,000 videos, high quality documentary videos, and bam, it just like spits all this shit out. In the future, that'll be very, very possible, very simple to do. And so, if we are from the future and we have that technology, if we've already had, even who knows how far into the future, if we are from the future, who knows how far into the future we're actually from? Millions of years, billions of years? I mean, it's quite likely that, especially if life is more spiritual and the spiritual realm works differently than this physical realm. That's a big question right there. A lot of movies that talk about a lot of like crazy ideas, like alternate reality movies, like The Matrix. Vanilla Sky is a good one. Truman Show is a good one. I used to make lists of this. The problem with lists, the problem with making lots of lists, like getting into a habit of making lots of lists, is that you have to be able to find the list. You either have to have a really good filing system, or I guess that's it. But like, then your filing system needs to have like its own filing system, because if you just put things in there in like chronological order or different order, then you're gonna have a huge stack of stuff. You always have to be like breaking shit down into smaller pieces. So it's just a management nightmare, and I've tried to do this in Notion. When you have this hierarchy of concepts, it's like web development is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. That's a really good one, where it's like those are three like pillars of web development. If you're a web developer or designer, you know what HTML, CSS, and JavaScript are. It's just like some of the simplest stuff in the world. The most foundational, like, the first thing that you should learn about are what these things are and how they work, and just in general, like how they work. And that's not an easy thing to explain, because until you have made a bunch of web pages, you won't know what HTML, CSS, and JavaScript really do. Like each one of them is like a language of its own. HTML and CSS are very easy. JavaScript's pretty easy, but there's a lot more things you can do. So it's like, when I say it's a language, it's more like a couple syntax rules. So instead of memorizing learning a new spoken language, which has like at least hundreds, if not thousands or tens of thousands of words that you need to learn to speak it, or to use, to be considered like useful in that language, essentially. HTML you can learn in like a few minutes, and CSS you can learn in a few minutes, at least the basic syntax, and then you can understand how it works, and then you can spend years trying to figure out which HTML tags you should use and where, and which attributes you should use and where. And same with CSS, is basically like selectors and the specificity, which is the whole system of overrides, and the properties and the values. And then browser compatibility is like a nightmare. And so when you have all of these different factors, it's literally like this impossible game of trying to hit a moving target. But then again, making websites isn't obviously impossible. A lot of people do it. But as a web developer, I know, and if you're a web developer, you should know that making websites is not easy. It's like this massive conceptual undertaking. You have to plan it all out, draw it all out, design it, or use a template and fill it. I mean, it takes at least, on average, like for a small or medium website, even if you know what you're doing, it's going to take a week or so to do all the steps just to get it done, unless you're just whipping something together really quick. Yeah, you can do it quickly, but generally speaking, to start from scratch takes a long time, and it shouldn't. I think we can There's package managers where you can reuse code, like Node.js is a JavaScript framework for servers, essentially. See, hour and 15 minutes in. Should I get into web development and do that right now? I could. I think everyone should learn the basics of web development. It's actually pretty easy. We have a whiteboard here, but I don't know if I get my camera pointing at it properly. And I don't know if anyone who has watched this so far wants to know. It's like either you know and you don't care, or you don't know and you probably don't know that you should care. And I don't know if I would want to do that right here and now, even though I'm kind of in the middle of it. Maybe I'm missing the opportunity to just do it, right? Well, so that's the dilemma of, what do you say first and what do you say next? It's another just essential rule of content and writing and anything. It's like the essence of a list. Number one, number two, number three. It's so fundamental and so essential. And I think creating lists is really important. And the list is actually something that the file system doesn't really have, an ordered set of things. I mean, directories can kind of do it, but you can resort them. And well, then there's a lot of other things you might want to do with your list, like referencing. And anyway, I'm getting off topic. This is what happens when I smoke. So I spent an enormous amount of time dealing with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and trying to think through what is really going on here and what are we trying to do with all this, and sort of like drawing interfaces and websites, like designing it, making it look nice. That's what a web designer does. And then sometimes you have things that need to do things like buttons and forms or videos. They're a little more interactive and might take a little bit more consideration. You also need to make it all responsive. Responsive web development, fundamental thing that everyone should know, like what that means. It basically means a website uses the same code. It's like the same website that can load in to your PC on a big monitor or your phone on a little monitor. Same code, two different devices with very different sizes and different layouts. Like on the phone, it stretches, everything stacks up. Instead of being like side by side, all the content rearranges and stacks up. If you haven't noticed this is like, 101. Very easy to understand. If you don't understand it, like ask or Google it or something, because like it's a pretty easy thing to understand. Although we don't really have lists of all the things we're supposed to understand, especially the easy ones. And then it's not always that easy. Like I still haven't really explained what HTML, CSS, and JavaScript are. And I don't think I could do that with my hands as well as with code, and I want to prepare for it. And I've thought about making web development tutorials forever, but I don't have the capacity, I guess, to do it myself, which kind of sucks because like I really wanted to rise to that challenge and do it. And am I really giving up that I just can't because I haven't been able to yet? It's like, well, I'm already coming down from smoking, like, I don't know if that was a half hour ago. And I don't know. Could you tell that I was high? Probably. At least like take a few too many pauses. And, just the way my brain works is a little bit I'd say slower, but, different for sure. And then jumping around from idea to idea. But I was already doing that beforehand. So that's just kind of how I am, I guess. Well, so I'm going to keep giving you tips that I think are useful. It's because if you don't want to watch, if you're getting bored of watching me, by all means, turn it off. But if you're still watching, you have the choice. Like for the people who would want to see more of me talking, I'll keep going. And if the people, you can always stop the video. So I shouldn't stop, right? I really don't like hour-long content. I won't even watch it. I'm looking for 10-minute content. So that's a big indicator right there of why people probably won't watch this video. And that's probably why I don't upload a lot of the videos, is because like the longer it gets, I know it's like even a half hour. It's like, fuck, I don't watch half-hour videos because I don't want to dig. I don't have a half hour. I have maybe like, if it's a 10-minute video, I might give it a shot. But unless it's like, if it's claiming to have my answer, then I'm like, all right, I'll dig through it. And I don't watch the whole damn thing. I skip around to find the part that you want. I think most people do that. So, whew, what was I going to say? Talking about web development or a lot of other things. So, I should probably wrap it up at some point because well. Oh, so I was going to say about external processing. Here's another awesome idea that if you learn that this is a thing and you experience it and you learn to like notice that it works and then use it to your advantage, this tool could help you a lot. And that's basically, you could call it social processing. It's basically just meeting with somebody, discussing something, and the benefits that come from it. So when you're explaining something, like right now, I have to put my thoughts into words and send them into the computer at least. And the potential for somebody to watch this video means that I'm representing myself and I'm trying to be at least, I want to be coherent. And so I'm trying to explain something and I want you to understand it. And so I have to think a little bit harder about what am I going to say first and what am I going to say next. And honestly, I'm not really doing much. It's like, am I coming up with every word that I say? Not really. It's like I have some sort of feeling and I'm just trying to like, and then the words just start coming and I'm trust that I'm not going to say the wrong word. And some people can't control their words. Like people with Tourette's, some people have really bad Tourette's and that's wild. Or like Parkinson's, not being in control is, I couldn't imagine. That'd drive me crazy. All right, so external processing is something that I've noticed helps really well. This is why it's sort of like journaling, but it's even turning the camera on and talking to my computer, even though there's no one else there. There's no one in this house. And I am live, but this is the exact same process. It's really no different than when I'm vlogging to myself. And I never watch them. You might be like, why are you recording them? Number one, I think it could be interesting in the future if I ever could run like an AI summarizing auto tagging and then like have a visual timeline of like a calendar, the years that go by. We don't really have these things yet. Like I find it very difficult to navigate calendar software. It's always like, fuck, where's everything? And how do I see the right thing? And how do you adjust the view to see what you want? And you need a lot of sophisticated controls to do that. And so not necessarily trying to be critical, but yeah, anyway, my AI, or if I could create an AI system to watch my own videos, tag them, organize them, and display little like clips and highlight specific parts that might be interesting, like if I'm laughing or whatever. My facial expression, if I'm making a funny face, it could identify all of those things automatically. And then when I have like hour-long videos, I could jump to those little parts. I could also see things tagged by topic. So if I'm talking about something like conspiracy theories, next time I'm looking for a clip of me talking about something like that, I'm going to pull it up and have it all at my fingertips. But because I'm not going to go back and rewatch my videos and tag them, like that would take, like if it takes me an hour to record it, it would take me an hour to sit down and go through it, all of it at least, if not more, to like go back through little parts and tag every single word. Like that's what AI needs to do. So I don't do it. But one day we'll have that set up. There's probably already a system, but like, what does it cost? Is it secure? How long does it take me to upload shit? How accurate are the transcriptions? How well does it organize everything? These are all the big question marks about like, there's something I wrote down the other day that I think is interesting. And it's, given how successful we are, it's like, it seems like there's very little opportunity that if somebody could have done it, they would have. And I think that's sort of true, but it's almost always true, but also not completely true. It's like, yeah, there's competition anywhere you look. Like any game you try and play, any product market, any whatever, there's hundreds of people that come before you and have an advantage and a leg up, and it's like, it's intimidating, and it makes you feel like there's, number one, there's no opportunity. There's everyone's better than you, and it's just this massive burden that we all kind of deal with. Let me see if I can find a note, because it would help. Something about there's always hundreds that come before you. No matter what you try to succeed at, there are always thousands before you better than you. Yet there are millions of extremely successful people all around us. Which I don't know why I said yet, because that's basically the same idea. But then I said most of us struggle. Yeah, I mean, so it's kind of like this idea that even though there's so much success, there also seems to be a lot of like imperfection. So like all the problems that you have that you think like, I've been asking myself this on repeat lately. I can't possibly be the first person or only person going through this problem. It's sort of like, I don't know, this check that the insurance company was trying to send us that was just, they were giving me a real hard time. And I was like, why is it like this? Doesn't make any sense. So the first check was made out to my wife and I. The second check was made out to my wife and I and the bank and like this contracting company. And then I called them and they said they canceled that and issued a new one, but it's being mailed to the bank. And then they canceled that and they finally sent it to us, but now it's still made out to us and our mortgage company. And I have to take it to the bank and get them to sign it, and then we get the money. It's like, why do we need to do that extra step there? That doesn't make any sense. If you could explain that to me, maybe there's some legal reason or whatever. And there probably is that he couldn't explain, but it's like, am I the first person dealing with this? And have you never been asked this question? And is this not something that just systemically introduces itself as something that needs to be solved and then gets solved? And it's like, how can I possibly be dealing with this? And that happens all the time. It's like, what? Am I the first person playing this game? Because this seems really strange. And yeah, so it's the opportunity of life is a very, very strange thing. It's like there's almost no opportunity, but there's also, sometimes I write down that there's infinite opportunity. There's so many opportunities. It's just a matter of seeing it and being able to, convince yourself it's worth pursuing, I guess. Oh, fuck, man. Then I come to like kind of the end of the road. Sometimes I have ideas and they're flowing. It's like a little flow of consciousnness, and it gets turned off sometimes. And then you kind of come back and you're like, okay, here I am. Nothing else to say. But then I could be like, I just kind of think, all right, what else? What were we talking about there? Where did we come from and where are we going? How about all these streamers? Like, there's people making a lot of money, and I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I thought about streaming video games, but it's a long, slow battle for one. And getting started, I was like, how do people get started? They might just start with nothing and just keep at it anyway, because like they know maybe they're just more focused on doing it and don't really question how it's going to happen. For me, I want to think everything through and be like, wait, so what if I spend a month and I still have I have 7 subscribers, but I don't even know if any of them are real people. They're probably like some guys from my guild or something that subscribe. I guess I don't know if I can see who they are. I don't know if I've tried. There's so many social networks and each one has different capabilities of like what is possible. Do you start on some sort of hunt to go try and find some little piece of or do some little task and see if it'll work? Like what I was just talking about. Can I see my subscribers on my own YouTube channel? How many clicks would it take? Would it mess up the stream? I don't know. I'm not going to do it right now. But those questions are always like, should you do something? You could always do a lot of things. And there's a lot of times things that could work. But you don't know how well it's going to work or if it even will, or if there's an obvious problem for that whole solution. Like sometimes you might get a great idea that could completely fix a problem. There's one little problem that is something that can't be avoided and renders the entire idea completely useless. You're not always that lucky to have it be that cut and dry. Usually it's something in between, and there's thousands of events all day long. And so life is weird. We can only see very small pieces of the picture. Like, you can only, if I ask you about your life, it's hard to see your entire life all at once. But if I ask you about any event in your life, you could explain it with great detail. It's just you can't see all of the details all at once. That's just not how the brain works. I'm scratching my balls right now, by the way. If I haven't incriminated myself enough in this video, like, you might be wondering, why is his arm like jostling around? I'm not going to explain what I'm doing right now, but in case you're not interested, I could have said a few more words about the where, the why, the what, and especially the how. All right, so it wasn't about pleasure. It was about scratching an itch, in case anyone was more like scratching an itch. Yeah, that was the same hand. Got no shame. Let's go. No, man, I got shame. I got all kinds of shame. I try not to dwell on that, but what is shame? It's like being embarrassed about things that you've done. Yeah, for sure. You can't take them back. Just move on. Try and do the best you can. All right. So, external processing is a very useful tool. It's when you sit down with somebody and you try and explain something to them, you're going to think about it on a completely different level. If you sit down and look at the wall and try and explain something to it, it's not going to work. It might work a little bit better than just not saying anything, just saying stuff out loud. Now, I would suggest turning on your camera. Right now, I'm looking at myself on my screen. And this is a true image. If you were sitting across from me, this is what you would see. Now, this is not what a mirrored image. So this is not the face I see in the mirror. This is a flipped version of what I see in the mirror, because the mirror is a false vision. And so whenever I'm doing these things, some social networks and camera apps will actually mirror it. Sometimes there's an option for it. But if you try and give yourself a high five and you actually connect the screen, looks like you're connecting, this is what happens in the mirror. Then you know it's a false image, that it's a mirrored image, because you shouldn't give yourself a high five. You should be whiffing. Like, when I do it, my hand it's hard to explain. But when you give yourself a high five on camera, you should know. Sometimes it's hard to know whether you're if text is forward, the way, if it's not mirrored, that's how you know it's a true image. But if you look at something in the mirror, you'll know that text goes backwards, and so it's a false image. It's just something interesting, and it kind of confuses me sometimes. I have to really stop and think about it. I forget which way is which. It's interesting how the memory can remember certain things really well and forget certain things like almost always. It's kind of unfortunate. I would suggest practicing external processing, not just with one other person, which is probably the easiest, but when you increase the number of people that you're communicating with, then that it's like a spiritual power or something. There's some sort of like communal energy that you tap into. And I think there is a spiritual energy behind all of us. And it is kind of the same, maybe, I don't know, some sort of spiritual being. I don't know how it works. I don't know if there's one of them or many of them. I don't know if they have the power to communicate with us. I don't know if it's me, just like a different side of me, like a subconscious that, I don't really know about. We don't know these things. I do think exploring the science of the spirit is something that I'm surprised we haven't really done yet. Because it seems this is one of these things that kind of keeps coming clearer to me, that there has to be a spirit, obviously, and then it has to exist somehow, obviously, and the science points to all of these subatomic particles like quarks and neutrinos and muons and gluons and all this shit, right? And so it's basically like really, really small energy, and we don't know how small it gets. And it seems like you can kind of almost keep decomposing things into smaller little bits of energy that it's all just kind of like this swirly, magnety, electromagnetic stuff with forces. It's like forces at a distance. It's like galaxies that like tiny little galaxies that spin around insanely fast. Where do I go with that? The science of the soul. There's got to be a soul, and there's got to be some sort of physical, representation of it. We just haven't figured it out yet. But then you have guys like Elon Musk trying to Neuralink, and it makes me nervous. Like, I read stuff that he's killing monkeys, and his prototype video shows like sticking a needle into somebody's head, as if that's like something like they would even want to show. I mean, like, that was so off-putting. It's like, who's gonna do that? Maybe this injecting this little Neuralink thing becomes a safe and effective process, but like, yeah, then there's like, you could steal somebody's thoughts, you could hack somebody's brain and like implant ideas, or you could really fuck with somebody. Our computer or information security systems are not on the level they need to be. Like, crypto is a crazy mathematical thing that I'd like to talk about. I was pretty good at math. I was in AP Calc and in high school, and then took Calc 2 and 3 in college. I didn't go to higher levels than that, and I know there are lots of higher levels, but you learn a lot of mathematical things that you don't really need, and you don't spend enough time learning the things that you really do need. And crypto is definitely one of those mathematical things that's quite interesting. Well, computer science in general, it's like the binary math, the ones and zeros, and how, like, what is a byte? What is a bit? What is a byte? How many bytes are in, make up a photo, and how is that photo encoded? And, it's really interesting because you can track the ones and the zeros to the numbers to the images, really. Like, whatever, every file is a number. It's just a really, really big number. And so, like, every movie that's ever created, has it's a file, it's a number. And it's insane to think about, but every single number represents a different, you could think of it as a different image, essentially. If you just changed one bit of some image or movie, you'd have a slightly different one. Now, I'm not actually sure how that would work with the way that it's encoded. It might just scramble the whole thing, or it might just have some small defect in it. I'm not actually sure. Anyway, computer science. Why am I talking about computer science? I was talking about the science of the soul, because I was talking about external processing and how, like, I've always wondered, do people have energy auras, or is there any telepathy or anything over and above just the sound and sight that's very kind of hands off? Is there a spiritual element to life, to interactions with other people, or is it just interactions with the spiritual realm? I think these are all questions that I don't know if we'll ever be able to answer. Now, I tend to think if there is a God and if there is some sort of spirit, like, if something exists, it has to exist. It has to be made of something. And in theory, that something is measurable, observable, like knowable of some kind. Otherwise, like, to just say that it exists, but you can't see it or know it in any way, just doesn't make sense to me. Maybe it could in some abstract way, but like on a different dimension or something. But still, that's just kind of like a non-answer, or saying it exists, but it doesn't exist right now. Okay. I suppose there's ways for that to happen, like teleporting in and out of existence. But I like philosophy. I like thinking about ideas and like the existence of time and stuff. I wasn't really taught a lot of about philosophy. I more kind of discovered it for myself just by getting high and thinking about things, but also having discussions with people. But there were a lot of things I was taught about, like very important things. Like, well, I was raised Catholic, and I was taught that abortion was wrong, and I was taught about the slippery slope of abortion, where like, what's the beginning of life? Is it at birth? Like you can abort a baby a day before it's born, and that's okay. But then, like, once, what if it's half out? You abort half of it, like, and then you go back like the first trimester and the moment of conception, and it's a slippery slope. You have to define, when a life starts, essentially. Don't even get me started about masturbation and what that means for like energy and happiness and masculinity and testosterone and semen and sperm and depression, porn, dating, marriage, kids. Whew, let's go. All right, so we need to get into a group. I need people to join me. If you're not willing to, if you've watched this far, you're not willing to join me, like, get the fuck out of here. It's like, who are you? Right? Like, let's go. There's some serious shit going on here, and you might not find anyone else who's willing to. I've never found anyone willing to take me under their wing and try and teach me the things that I need to know to like succeed in life. It's just been kind of a good luck, dude. Well, I shouldn't say that. My brother and really some of his friends that became my friends, they gave me a shot and helped me out quite a bit, actually. Only for a couple years, but like, well, I've had good friends along the way. I just mean more like, it was never really like an invitation. It was just more sort of like out of situational happenstance. I was around these people, and that they, that we got along enough that like I would say that they, I don't know if I helped them. Like, it was just sort of that's probably more of a drain on the relationship, because I've never been somebody to like plan things and invite people out and organize things and, or call somebody out of the blue or whatever. I'm more kind of an introvert in that sense. But my point is that I've never seen anyone kind of opening the door to say, hey, like, I don't know who you are or what you're trying to do with your life. But life is hard. And if you need help, I don't know if I can help you, but if you can help me, I might try and return the favor, especially if I get rich someday and I really, really want to. So that's something. If we can pool our resources, we could do some really seriously awesome shit, like build a hotel and maybe make millions from it, for example. Now, it could all fail and it could all crumble, but if everyone's throwing in like $10 a month, why the hell not? I would do it. I'd pay $100 a month for something like that if I could watch it happen and like have an influence on the outcomes and see behind the scenes of all the decisions that are made, and then maybe someday do it myself. Fuck yeah. So I think there's a lot of opportunity in life, and there are millions and millions of people who are super successful, who are making truckloads of money, making shit, selling shit, being successful. The problem is most people don't have that opportunity, and they suffer, and they work jobs that they hate. And it occurs to me that like whoever's running the show on a spiritual level knows exactly what's going on, and that's part of the whole picture. And another part of me thinks like spiritual happiness, pleasure and pain is likely the essence to life, right? Like, we might be an alien ant farm. We might be harvested for our spiritual energy, our happiness. That's sort of the idea of the Matrix. They say it's for like electric energy. Humans are harvested for their electric energy, and that's it. But it's very likely that because we are spiritual beings, it's very likely that our psyche works not just on a biological electromagnetic level, but on a deeper like quantum level. I guess is probably quantum is the way to describe that subatomic level, right? That's what I'm saying. We have a quantum spirit, and we don't know how it works yet. I don't know if we ever will, but the quantum energy is probably, you know, like antimatter or dark matter or whatever, like pretty mysterious stuff. And maybe there's something like water or gasoline that are these quantum materials that mean something, that are useful, and that are potentially expensive to synthesize. And if it's some sort of like life force, look at how life works on this planet. We eat plants, which are alive to a certain extent. We eat animals that eat the plants, but it's all this kind of like flow of energy. And I don't know. I've always wondered if there's a reason why animals taste better. If it's just a purely like, ooh, there's some lipids on my tongue and that makes my brain feel good. Like, or if it's more like this was a living creature and the reward that I'm getting is more spiritual than biological. It's kind of how it feels. It's kind of hard to prove because we don't really know where the essence of life, that spiritual nourishment that we get. We think that they're uh, endorphins, like your dopamine and serotonin. You know, when you feel good, it's like a chemical that's hitting your brain and it makes you feel good. I'm not sure if that's the big picture. Like, I think the chemical's probably there, and maybe that has something to do with, or maybe it's just a messenger, and there's something deeper going on. Because, well, if dopamine and serotonin were the answer to happiness, like you would be able to take art, ingest artificial, or even inject it to like into your brain with a Neuralink or something. You could inject happiness, and you just be happy all the time. Like, I don't think it's so easy. I think you'd get exhausted and get spiritually fat and die or something like that. I, you can spiritualize almost anything in real life and be like, what if that's how it is at a spiritual level? But like, I don't think you have a spiritual body necessarily, unless it's like a light body, like an energetic body, like an energetic cage for your subsoul. Like, who knows how many layers of this shit it goes, right? So that's some pretty deep stuff. I wasn't really taught that, although I think I might have been taught some of that stuff. I just don't really remember when and where, and it could have been a dream or something for all I know. Fuck. We have some crazy dreams. And talk about, you can have conversations in your dreams. It's just you don't really remember it. It's almost like you're not even there. You remember waking up from the dream, having a conversation, be like, oh, fuck. Like, was I doing that? Or it's more like you're watching. You're just kind of observing something else happening. Well, my audience of zero, what should we do today? how about get drunk? Man, I just like to drink all day for a couple months. Sounds like a fucking amazing thing. But no, I'd actually more like to get in shape, to get really good at basketball, to learn how to jump really high. I think I could, if I focused like many hours a day on fitness and exercise and vertical and playing basketball, I think I could be a very good basketball player. But I've had this ambition, or this is more of a desire. I'm lacking the ambition. I've had this desire for a long time, and it's just doesn't seem to be in the cards at this point in my life. Yeah, so I'd like to create a mastermind community. I could use this video. This is what I was gonna external process at this point. So I think at this point in the video, most people are probably like, they can't stand me rambling now for like coming up on 2 hours. You'll feel like, I'm wasting your time, and I apologize if you feel some of that. So let me see if I can get back on track a little bit here. I want to external process now about this mastermind community. I actually think I could use this video as the full video. I don't know. Can I download this from YouTube? See, that would suck. If if I wanted to take some clips from this video, I could download the whole thing and then bring it into an editor. Or I could use OBS and just go and record those clips. Like try and find some and mark them on, like, write them down on paper and then just watch those while I'm screen recording and get those clips so I can remix them. I don't think there's an easy way to edit. Well, I guess there is an edit button. I probably could use the YouTube video editor. But can I duplicate the video so I keep the full video? See, what I'm thinking about doing is use parts of this video as a teaser ad for the full video, and just say, like, I'm gonna talk about a lot of things. Here's a few highlights, and just maybe run through all the kind of juicy bits, like name drop all those conspiracy theories, satanic world, pedophile elites, like make money online, struggle, suffering, suicide, smoking weed, all the things. Use all those like little teasers to, in a quick edit, to grab somebody's attention, show them a taste of what's inside. Also kind of introduce the idea of the mastermind and how I'm trying to start a community. And so I'll tell you, I just joined a community, mensgroup.com. I don't know how that guy got that domain. That's a super awesome domain. It's simple and straightforward. You'd probably have to pay like a lot of money to get a domain like that, unless you just happen to have it. Anyway, I joined. It's okay. It's not super active. It's $20 a month, and I'll probably cancel it because I've been to a couple meetings and they're really cool. Like, I've been to 1.5 meetings. Like the first one I just jumped in for a second. The second meeting was 2 hours long, and it was actually a really nice experience. Just to, there's a bunch of guys with their cameras on, just kind of like staring at their computer. And it's like, yeah, there's other humans out there, and a lot of people are suffering and struggling and dealing with shit. And so they joined this men's group to just speak, their mind, and it's like therapeutic. I favor that to talking to a therapist all day long. Like, anyway, you do a lot more listening than talking, so I think it's a very passive experience, but it's interesting. And I was thinking I've been thinking about creating this mastermind community for a long time, but I was kind of using that experience as like a test drive, or like, just to give myself some experience with an online community and what it entails. I've been in Discord and kind of, I was part of a guild for a while and tried to help out sometimes, but it was kind of more like passive and, what's a deadbeat? Like, I didn't help out that much. I probably should have done more. I was kind of like in a leadership position, but I wasn't the guild master, and so didn't really feel empowered to make decisions and to do things my way. And every time I tried to like suggest something, it was like, whatever. So I just kind of didn't, I was there to play the game and not, I enjoyed hanging out with the guys. But anyway, so Discord, if you're not familiar with Discord, it's a communication platform. It's sort of like a social network, but it's a little bit more like a chat room. There's voice chat rooms. So when you join the chat room, there's a list of people in there, and most people have their microphone. I have mine on push to talk, so it's not just, like I can yell at my kids without anyone hearing it. When I push the button, then it turns my mic on, so I say something and let go, and it stops, transmitting. It's a nice it's like a walkie-talkie more than an open mic. And you can have 2 people in a little voice chat, or you can have hundreds. And you can have permissions. So like some people are allowed to talk and some people aren't. It's a pretty cool platform. There's nothing else like it. There's things that are kind of like it, but like it's one of a kind so far in terms of just its sophistication. And there are text chat rooms, and now you can post posts in there, and it's like you can create a little community, and now you can monetize it. You can put a membership fee on there. So I've been thinking about this a lot, but my last marketing experiment failed, and I just think putting out a simple video that just says, hey, trying to start a mastermind community. Does anyone want to join? It's going to be $10 a month. What if I just take that little clip, like 5 seconds that I just said, see how many people join? If I can get people to pay $10 a month and it costs me less than $10 or even 20 or 50 or whatever per sale, and I get people to, they'd have to stay they would have to stay long enough to like make the cost of the sale profitable. And the idea wouldn't necessarily just to be like, some sort of get rich quick scheme where I convince people to scam people out of their money. I'd want to actually create a community. And I think I have some experiences from all the things I've talked about that there's probably a lot of other people struggling with. The pursuit of success is maddening. If you're watching other people succeed and you're trying to succeed, and you just, especially if you start changing to something else and you get into this like, I don't have what should I do? If you don't know what to do and you like try things and fail and pick something else, that's like, you're fucked. You're spinning your wheels. You just don't know what to work on, and you'll never finish anything, because by the time, 2 days comes in and it starts getting like slow and boring, you're like, let's find something else. Here I am making some long ass video. So can I edit it on YouTube? I don't know. I could, but does that destroy the original video? Can I duplicate a video on YouTube? I don't know. That'd be weird, because why would you want to, unless for like editing purposes? I'll see if I can figure that out. God, I hope my microphone has been working. Is this even... What I'm doing right now is I'm tapping on my laptop screen so that if that microphone were active, there is like a little audio bar down there. I have one green dot out of 6, and it's only going up to 2 and back to 1. It's not giving me much feedback. Oh man, really? I don't know. I'm actually not sure. I thought it was you. It's not working at all. I'm worried now. If this whole fucking video I lost the audio on, god damn it, I would be so pissed. The little green light is blinking, so hopefully it doesn't seem like it's registering when I tap the laptop screen, which is right where I think the microphone is, right on top there. But when yeah, that was registering. Okay. Should probably stop this and figure out what I'm doing. But let me see. I don't have a clear vision. Do I just let this go and move on to something else? That's what's likely to happen as my power level drops and returns to sub baseline because I smoked a second ago. What I wanted to do is try and boost something via YouTube ads. So it has to be a YouTube video. So if I can edit this down, I don't know if I can do it all right in the YouTube creator. See, I've tried to use a lot of different editing tools. Blender has one. DaVinci Resolve, I used to use like more traditional ones like Premiere or Final Cut Pro. And I may even use Avid at one point in high school. But like, I've tried so many different editing experiences, and they're all different. Like, how do you get clips in and organize them and trim them and add transitions? And a lot of them are very similar. And once you figure it out, it's not terrible, but there's always little nuances that are like, just push the special like shift control 932 or whatever. And you're like, whoa, that's the solution to my problem, is like some hotkey that nobody's ever going to know. That's how software works a lot of times, especially with Blender. Holy shit. Okay, so should I learn a new editor? I could give it a quick run and see how that works. But the goal is to get a YouTube ad to get people to my Discord server for the mastermind community. I don't care how many subscribers I have on YouTube. Fuck that. Well, I mean, if you're going to join the community, you might as well follow along. That's probably where I'm going to be publishing a lot of the content. But I'd like to make this video unlisted. So if I could get like 10 people to subscribe, I'd be like, okay. If I can get one person to subscribe, I haven't had anyone like. I could beg my family to do it, or I could do it myself, like I actually did on the Gumroad page. Is I pulled out my own wallet and bought my own little like donation thing, and just to show one sale, so it didn't show fucking 0 sales on there. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Like, if you're selling stuff online, you must have gone from 0 sales to 1 sale. How long did that take? Like, did you have to do it yourself or ask somebody to do it? And I mean, then how do you get your first 10 and 100 and 1,000? And like, depending on how long it takes you, that's going to be a big determinant of whether you stick with it or not. Well, all right. So the problem with this that I don't want to waste too much more time is that I don't know if my microphone's working, and I do know my fan is on. Now my fan, I tried to turn it off, but it just goes lower. Anyway, my microphone has a noise suppressor built in, like hardwired to it. It's either, I don't know if this thing has software on the USB level or if it's just part of the chip design. But it seems like when my fan is on, you don't hear the fan so much, but it makes the sound of my voice very tinny and like it's doing some filtering to make it sound better, to reduce the noise from the fan. But then it's better if I have my fan off, which I just tried to do, and it's kind of lower right now. So I don't know if that helps the sound quality. The dot does seem to be bouncing a little bit better. But because of that, because the audio on this whole video might be fucked, I don't know if I can even use it. So this is my external processing. I'm trying to stay focused. I should probably write this down. YouTube to Discord. That's basically what I'm trying to do. I think $10 a month is fair. Like, if you can't afford $10 a month, you can join for free. But like, the idea is to contribute and grow, so that I'd like to work on this full time. So I'd like to earn an income from it. I want to be your leader, and I want you guys to give me $10 a month, and I'm going to spend a lot of money and a lot of time trying to make this the best goddamn community I can. So I think that's fair. And if you don't want to do it, then click skip. If you want to do it, click the link, go to the Discord server. You can join for free. You can come hang out. You can see if you want to do it. It's $10 a month to get members only access to my mastermind community. We're going to talk about web development, life, happiness, all kinds of different things. But we're going to talk about making money. The focus has got to be about making money. And I'm not talking about a little money. I want to make big money. So like, to make big money, if you don't have any place to start, you need to make little money and then turn that into more money. But I also want to talk about making big money, because like, I do need to just get started with something and learn how to finish something. But I don't know if I'd say I'm incapable. I don't want to necessarily conclude that. I just had a really hard time staying focused with something, because I'm interested in finding a way to make a lot of money. And that often presents itself in these kind of like much more difficult endeavors. Like if I wanted to create my own software, whether it's video software or web software or whatever, making a simple website is a lot different than making a whole application. And you really need like a company to make a decent web application. I mean, the open source community seems to do this, and they make decent software, but it's often not quite as polished and nice. And anyway, I often try and bite off more than I can chew, I guess, or maybe I just like spending time thinking about the important problems, like how to fix the internet. My Twitter bio has actually been fix the web, fix the world for like 5 or 10 years now. Nobody cares. That's the biggest problem, is that nobody cares about anything but themselves. If it doesn't help them, they don't give a fuck. And that's not necessarily true all the time, but it's like, unless you just feel great about something, you're probably not going to do it. And so like, if it doesn't make you feel better, you're probably not interested. And so if, I've been trying to like inspire people to help me for my entire life. And I think most of the time I don't know if they're intimidated, if they don't understand, but if it doesn't feel like awesome, they're like, fuck you, I don't care. Like, I don't care what you tell me. Like, I really don't care about what you're saying. And that's the That's the impression that I've always gotten. And so it's kind of sucks. I'd like to make some money. I'd like to make money in a smart way, like with internet courses or marketing, or just I'm a web developer and I really have a passion for solving the whole web design and development process from the ground up. I know how to do it. Like, I don't know exactly how to do it. I just know all the major components that need to be kind of fixed up a little bit. That's like Git, GitHub, NPM, Node, and NPM, and Git. Those are all like, where do you get your code from? We talk about like WordPress and plugins and Vato and like the plugin marketplace and the theme marketplace. It's a big part of like templating and streamlining the process. But you need a better backend than WordPress. WordPress is PHP. It's not real time. Node.js was supposed to blow it out of the water like 10 years ago at least, and it hasn't yet. So people have tried, but they just haven't really figured out how to do it. And I don't want to say like I couldn't get wrapped up in my own code and just fizzle out, because I did. And, I haven't been able to do half as much as what a lot of these people have been able to do. But I do have a pretty good vision for what needs to happen and what could happen. I also know that it's such a massive undertaking that I need to convince everyone that I know what I'm talking about, so that when I then explain an idea, people are like, wait, maybe he's right. Maybe that could work. Let me draw that out. Let's think about it. Oh, wait, yeah, that is actually a good idea. Like I know how to do it. I don't know exactly how to do it. I just know that if you streamline things, if you make things faster and easier, and believe me, there's a lot of ways to make things faster and easier when it comes to software design and development. And frankly, the design and development of anything, architecture and construction, product design, manufacturing, all the things. What goes where? What comes first? What comes second? What comes third? Like, it's really just the essence of problem solving. But there's a lot of things that I found in the web development community ecosystem, like all this Webpack and Babel and React, and there's just endless JavaScript fatigue is what they started calling it like many years ago. People would just get like so tired of hearing about like JavaScript and all this different nonsense. It's like people just make some new thing because it was easier to do that than to fix the problem, the underlying problem. I actually tried to fix the underlying problem once by getting involved with like the JavaScript steering committee, basically. Like, was it TC39 or some code name for it? And they wouldn't let me in. I was like, hey, can you stream this so I can join, or like let me stream in so I can join remotely? And they're like, sorry, we're not going to do that for you. What? Okay. Anyway, so mastermind community. I did say a couple things in here. I think it was like 10, 15 minutes ago about just a simple, straightforward, I'm trying to start a mastermind community. Editing this whole thing down into like sound bites is a problem for me. Like, I'd have to take at least several hours to just listen to the 2-hour long stream to find the parts that are better. I really need like to pull in anything that's the whole thing kind of is mildly entertaining in my opinion. I'm only saying things that I think, you might be interested in hearing. So it would be hard for me to weed it down into smaller parts. I could post it on Twitter. I got like 50 followers or something stupid. God, so dumb. I do have this TikTok account where I somehow got 500 followers by like doing this follow back bullshit for like several days straight. Maybe that's all I need. Publish some talking head video to TikTok that's just me being real for 2 hours. Oh, there's the problem. You can't do that on TikTok. You have like a minute tops. All right, so running this ad, God, editing it down, it's just fucking hell, man. I think if I did it, it would work. It could work. Last time it didn't work. If I edit this down, I think there are the pieces in here that I need to convey the right message. It's just they're scattered around a 2-hour long video. But if I try and redo this, there's no way in hell I'm gonna follow through with it. Like, part of me doing this was being pissed off and just going live in the first place. And then the reason I'm still doing it is because I decided to get high and start talking about all kinds of random shit. Like I said, I have thousands of hours of me doing this. At least hundreds of hours, probably thousands of hours on my trusty hard drive here. I think if people learned how to network with each other, especially online, like strangers meeting together and discussing things that are important and then planning how to do it and then doing it, like, there's a lot of potential in life for all kinds of different things. There's like unlimited products that could be made way better, and then you could make a lot of money. There's unlimited software, programs, packages, themes, button styles, sliders, and widgets, and fucking swords and shit, like in games. There's endless opportunity for people to be successful. But if you're somebody who struggles in life, you might as well kill yourself, because it depends on how much you're struggling and whether you want to get back on that horse. But once, it's like Jordan Peterson said once you're done, like if you go shoot high and you fail, or you fail too many times, like sometimes you're just done. Like you're just, and once you hit that point, it's like there's nothing you can do. I watched this happen to my brother. Like, I couldn't convince him to work on anything with me. He was just like, no, I'm just not doing it. I didn't get it. I was like, look, man, you need money. Like, we all need money. Why don't we do something smart and make a lot of money? And I just couldn't talk him into it. How do I organize the message for this mastermind? I think I've said enough about it. It's $10 a month. I'm not going to offer refunds, but your risk is $10 for the first month you have to evaluate it. Like, your risk is pretty low, and I'd like to make it worth way more than $10 a month. I'd like to have all kinds of activities we can do. I love playing chess. I play chess on my phone. I'd like to stream playing chess. I think I could do it. There's a couple different ways I could get my phone to go live, or even just record it at first. But chess is an epic game. It's so simple, yet so complex, so much strategy, so much room for just dominating people. Like, it's one-on-one, instant, quick, get your heart racing. It's crazy cool game. Like, I would suggest, if anyone doesn't play chess, I would suggest playing chess, because there's an enormous amount of fun, and it's good. I don't know if it's good for your brain. Like, for me, it's kind of like addicting, and almost like I don't know if I'd say it's definitely not a bad thing, but I gotta be careful how much I play and how wrapped up in it I get. I can't go to the bathroom without my phone, because I play chess. Like, just sit down, and while I'm doing my business, I'm playing. Usually when I'm going to the bathroom, I'm taking a break from work, and then it's like unwind, let the mind kind of escape, and I can kind of just do it on autopilot almost, especially when you're playing speed chess. Anyway, I want to sell people on chess, because everyone knows what chess is. Most people know how the pieces move, but most people don't like playing it because it's hard. And it is. It's brutal. Like, if you make one wrong move, the game's over, essentially. Sometimes it's more than others. Like, sometimes you're in checkmate and the game's literally mostly over. Now, you can always come back. No, you can't. If you're playing versus a skilled player, they should be able to win 80, 90 to 99% of the time, unless you can always catch somebody in like a crazy blunder where it was unlikely to see it, especially if you get them low on time and they have to start thinking quickly. A lot of compounding factors there, but you can often outsmart somebody with an amazing move, and it just feels awesome because you got them and you come back and you take the game from them. But most of the time, if you know what you're doing and you're careful and you're watching and you just stay away from some tricky spots, you can pull off the win when you get ahead by a few points. And the more you play, the more you get to win. The more you have to learn how to lose, and sometimes it's infuriating, especially when you're up, especially when somebody kind of probably gets lucky and traps you in something where, like, well, I don't know, is it luck or are they better than you? I think sometimes it's a bit of both. Anyway, so chess is an awesome game. I'd love to create a chess community, but I don't really know how. I'm not the best chess player. I'm rated like 800 right now on the little 3-minute game, 3 and 5-minute games. And it's not bad, but it's not great. I'm watching all these girls on Twitch and stuff who are rated like 2000, and it's like, holy shit. There's been like 3 girls that I've seen streaming with 2000 plus rankings. And so me at 800, I'm like, God damn it, I'm a fucking dummy. And I've been playing thousands of games this year. So I'm not getting any better. Maybe that's why I'm brain dead. No, it's not. I'm brain dead, whether I play chess or not. Okay, so video games. How about meetups? You ever met somebody you met online in the real life? There's a lot of people out there, and people you might meet on the internet, you don't know what kind of person they are. And they could be normal and awesome and cool, but they could be kind of weird and different. But I'd like to sell tickets to cool parties. I think that'd be awesome to host parties that are like pay to attend parties, and each party could kind of have a theme and kind of have like an expectation of what kind of guests go. So like singles part, young singles parties, like older singles parties, like couples parties, topic specific parties, like if you're into gaming, or I guess I would say interest based, or like any hobby or whatever. Anyway, sell tickets. You could do like $100 a person and make it really worth that $100. Maybe not worth like every penny in terms of like the amount of drinks that you're getting or whatever. I mean, it could be open bar. I think it should be open bar. You shouldn't have to tip your bartender every time. That's kind of bullshit. Just like, isn't that your job? Like, you've helped me for like 30 seconds. I have to tip you? Anyway, now you could tip a bartender like every once in a while if like you really knew them and you wanted to support them. Don't think there's anything wrong with tipping if if they deserve it. But you shouldn't have. I don't like being obligated. I don't be like asked for a tip at a counter serve restaurant before I've even paid. It's like, do you want me to pay more? It's like, no, I don't want to pay more. You didn't do anything to earn it. You could still fuck up my order, and then how do I ask for my tip back? It like makes absolutely no sense. Okay, so this video is currently 2 hours and almost 20 minutes. And if I create a mastermind video, I could link this video as the first like matter to discuss. The second half of this video has been much more, especially like the last half hour to an hour, has been much more me external processing and kind of slowing down, and I'm trying to stay focused, but I'm having a hard time moving the ball forward with what I'm actually needing to do and the order to do it in, and like whether it'll work and what kind of time frame and thresholds I'm looking at in terms of how much is it going to cost? How much do I spend to run these ads? Well, first I have to edit it all down. How long does that take? Can I even get that done, or else is all this thought and effort just completely useless? So is this 2 hour and 20-minute video an asset to this community? Like, I think if I edit it down, I could make it better. Maybe I just chop off this end part, because it is just a lot of me like, oh, I'm scrambling. I'm struggling to get anywhere. The first half of it, until I started talking several times about external processing. I was thinking about going into external processing mode and using this live stream and this experience that I'm having right here, talking to my camera, to help me process what I should be doing with these ideas, and whether I should create this mastermind group that I've been thinking long and hard about creating, but just can't seem to come up with the right recipe of like the pitch. What do I say in the ad to convince people to come over? Do I create a second video where then I explain a little bit more about what I'm trying to do? I have all kinds of ideas about what I'd like to do, from playing games to starting like a digital agency. Like if I can get software designers and developers and marketers and, social media managers and experts and whatever, if I can get enough of those people to join my mastermind, man, we will kick ass and take names. Like we can create a multi-billion-dollar company just serving like basic services to anyone who wants them. And I'd really like to do that. I don't want to actually do the design and development myself because I'm burned out and I need to stop, spinning my wheels. I need to get somewhere with life. But, so I want to do like productive things. I'd like to create a construction company, a custom home building company. And I've done a little bit of DIY. I've started to learn learn a little bit about how homes are built, from like the framing and the drywall and the electrical and plumbing and HVAC and all, roofing and gutters, and just installed an external door. We're thinking about adding a second level to our house. There's a lot of crazy shit going on in my house. And anyway, I think I think I said earlier in this video, there's definitely a huge opportunity for a better building system. You could make a fortune. Like if you can prove that your houses are way better, like stronger, better insulation, or at least pest proof, leak proof, and maybe like hurricane ready, tornado ready. Like if you can build like an armored house that's just like a beast and doesn't, probably out of metal, whether it's aluminum or steel or combination of things. I don't know about the foundation. I think, using some sort of stakes, like giant metal stakes that can be screwed deep into the ground that don't move ever. And then you build, whatever you want on top of these stilts. If you go into the South, near the ocean, you see all these houses built on wooden stilts. And it's like, how long until that wood just rots away? I think it's a special type of wood. Anyway, they look silly, but I think, building a house on a solid foundation is important, because this house is not. All the things we can do. We could build a house. Why? Just for fun. Like, let's think about what kind of house, where, buy a lot, run that shit, sell it, make some money. If I can start using everyone's money to make more money, we can do some really cool stuff. What if I can make, $1 billion? I don't know. How many people do we have? Like, we split that up, and there's 1,000 people, you each get $1 million. I don't want to be promising people money, but I'd like to be a billionaire. I can guarantee you that. Okay. Discord was valued at 15 billion. It's a lot of money. Figma was valued at, I think they're trying to be acquired by Adobe, but for like 20 billion. Crazy. GitHub was like 8 billion. These are like that's big money. And so if you want to make that kind of money, you got to do something like that. I know software pretty well. I know software design pretty well. User interfaces, layout is huge. And Figma layout is tricky, and CSS layout is tricky, and they're not the same thing. And, like native apps have different layout engines, and it's complicated, and it shouldn't be so complicated. But I also know development, and what it's like to try and find packages and use them and read through documentation and set up testing and connecting it with user interfaces and doing networked, asynchronous programming is, big thing in JavaScript more recently. And it's all pretty complex stuff. One of the most important things for software development, the advancements, is logging, debugging. I was able to jump through code like a fucking ninja, like stepping in and out of functions. I'd do that all day long, and it was okay, but it's kind of sometimes easier to use than others. And logging is another, I'd use the console log, but got tired of that. I started rendering with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript using my little framework. I'd render a log into the browser. And I've been doing that for a long time, but it's making these little expandable, collapsible like logging systems that are interactive is not easy. There's a lot of potential there, and it was really cool for a while, but I burned out. I had 3 kids and smoked too much weed, drink too much coffee and energy drinks, drink a lot of alcohol. So never finished. But my web framework has a lot of potential. I'd like to talk. Let me use this opportunity to explain about my web framework. If you are interested in web development or design and software, listen for a second, because this is some pretty heavy shit. I think we could make the whole ecosystem like 10 times better. So better software, a better package manager. So better little software pieces that are faster and easier to assemble. That's one vision, but you also want to monetize it so that the people who create the packages get paid. And so the people who use the packages, can pay efficiently. And that means like not cost prohibitive. It's like, pennies to get started. And then maybe a couple more pennies as if you're making millions, you can pay, a little bit to use the software. And that those levers could be adjusted. People could set their prices, and so you could have competition and stuff. But the idea is that having open source software means that nobody gets paid for anything, and then the software just kind of sits there and people get tired of working on it, and it doesn't really evolve and get better. But if you could change that, and the more people contributed, you'd have little bounties and stuff where people could make money. I know this has been tried and failed, but you got to combine NPM with Git. You got to combine all the package managers into like one system. And so like there's like homebrew and all of these like installer systems, and then there's like package managers for each language, like NPM, or I don't know, Python has one. I forget what they're all called. Every language has like at least one package manager library. And then finding the right package, knowing what it can do, learning the function calls, learning the function argument signature, knowing what it returns, and knowing how to wire this all together properly. It's kind of bullshit. It takes a long time. Now, the solution to all of this is definitely not easy, but I'm going to eat some of these peanut butter pretzels. I apologize for making you listen to me while I'm eating pretzels, because that's kind of rude. I just haven't eaten anything all day. And it's already 1:05 p.m. 0 viewers. Thanks, YouTube. This whole time, streaming for 2.5 hours, laying down some of the deepest shit you'll ever hear in your whole life. By myself in my basement, streaming to the whole goddamn world. It's really, you can't imagine what I've been through. And I'm not talking about in like real life. I'm talking about more spiritually, trying to understand life, trying to fight through the bullshit, to get up every day and do what I don't want to do, and then try and do what I used to want to do, but I just really want to give up on all of it. Try and get help from people who just don't care. But I am determined to make it work. So I need your help. $10 a month. Let's go. If you want to learn about software, design, development, startups, making money, big money. Fuck all this drop shipping stuff. I mean, I think that's good. If you can find a mentor who can kind of hold your hand, do this next, do this next, do this next. Get your own little operation set up and working so that you can learn all the different pieces. That's what you need to do. You need to be able to have a mentor guide you into making money. I'd like to create a system of mentorship. In fact, if you could, I don't know if people do this. I would imagine that they do. But if you can have a mentor where you can sign over a certain percentage of your income for a certain number of years, and maybe it starts when you're ready, and then it's a certain number of years after that, Or maybe you can pay it off early. Maybe it's like 10% and you can do it 1% per year for 10 years, or you could do 10% all in 1 year and pay it off before you get promotions. Anyway, mentorship could be extremely lucrative, make you big money. If you figure out something to do and you start teaching a bunch of people how to do it, maybe you get, maybe you want 50 points of their income, 50%. 50, it'd probably be like 10% for 5 years. Seems like a lot of money, but if somebody teaches you how to go from making like 50K a year to like 300K a year, you're like, fuck yeah, I'll give you whatever you want, right? So, mentorship, well worth $10 a month, potentially, maybe nothing. It all depends on what you want to get out of it, what you're willing to put into it. Obviously, I can't guarantee anyone anything. I started trying to talk about Andrew Carnegie earlier. I did explain that, he got the smartest steel people into the room. But the idea of the mastermind, Napoleon Hill gives a little bit of he doesn't actually talk about the mastermind community, the concept that much in his book. In fact, my dad gave me his book. I never read it. But then I remember playing the mastermind game growing up and thinking that was kind of a cool game. And when I'd heard that the mastermind community was something that Napoleon Hill was talking about in his book, Think and Grow Rich, I found the book. It took me a while to find it. I found it and I read the whole goddamn thing. And I haven't read an entire book in a long, long time. It's cover to cover. I'm just, I'm a slow reader. I get distracted and I lose interest. So the reason why I read it is because I was looking for information about the mastermind. I didn't find it until like chapter 11 or something crazy. And it was like 5 pages. It was like some of the other chapters were like 50 pages. And this one was like this tiny little thing. And basically the only thing he says about it is like when men gather with a common interest in the spirit of harmony, anything is possible, or something like this. Something about, with a common goal or a definite goal, maybe something like that, in the spirit of harmony. So it's sort of like, if you want to make it happen, if everyone wants to make the same thing happen and they're all willing to do whatever it takes to get it done, like there's no stopping it. The problem is that I've been trying to get people to help me do something forever and nobody cares. So how do I get people to care? Well, I have to explain what I want to do, and I have to like make it seem like I'm not some loser in my basement, right? Check out my green screen. Oh man, that's how you make good content. You need a green screen. Can't you see? All right, so if you can help me, I think I've said enough in this video to show that I'm not a complete idiot, even though it might seem like it sometimes. And I want to meet cool people. I want to meet badasses. I want to meet rich people. I want to meet smart people. I want to meet doctors and lawyers. I want to find people who are willing to pay a lot of money for some really cool shit. And then I'm going to make some money in the way. Like if I could lead an excursion to go snowmobiling through the mountains or something, I think that'd be awesome. Sounds a little dangerous. Probably have to be the right mountain with some nice paths and scenery and camp lodges and stuff. But like snowmobiling is fun. And if you can do it in a cool place, I should plan some snowmobiling trips. You could even have like some drink wagons so you can go get drunk on your trip. God, that'd be fucking awesome. I'd pay a lot of money to go on some snowmobiling excursions. Well, so I think I get people to pay me a lot of money to do some cool things, as long as it's worth it, right? But I need to learn how to make money. I want to learn how to make products, to design, manufacture, all the logistics, marketing. Definitely want to do digital production. If you're going to sell anything, you need a digital agency to help you market, to brand it, design your marketing materials, your packaging, your videos, and social media and all that shit. I've been thinking about making my own digital agency since before, like, I started working on my framework. That was like kind of 101 or step one. Which way does my hair go? I'm confused because this is not a mirror. So like I get confused which way is which. Like, this is my right hand, but it's on the other side from the screen. I was trying to tell you guys about this earlier, but a lot of times when I go to, like, if I see something on the screen that's on this side, I go to reach for this side and it's the wrong side, and I'm not going to try and explain it. I can't even explain it to myself, to be honest. It's an anti-mirror. It's like a mirror, but it's flipped sideways because it's what cameras do when you... People don't see what you see in the mirror. They see a flipped version of it. So you don't actually know what you really look like, except on photos. That's why a lot of people are like, don't like what they look like on photos. It's like, yeah, because that's the real version of you, not what you see in the mirror that you're used to. So my asymmetrical face bends the other way on a mirror. Just for the record, I'm sitting in front of my laptop looking at my computer screen that has me, this video, in real time. And so it's like a mirror, except it's flipped. Okay, so 2 hours and 30 minutes. Think I can go for 3 hours? I could talk all day long. I want to make money. I want to make big money. I want to create businesses. I want to go after the businesses that exist. Every business that's worth anything, they have a business model. They may have product lines. They do shit. Once I start making a little bit of money, then I can use that money to experiment to make more money. I think that's going to take a lot of trial and error, and you have to be somewhat conservative with it at first, but you got to take a lot of risk at some point. You can piss away a lot of money, you know, being too conservative, not going for it. You got to, at some point, just go all in. Elon Musk is good at that. He's gone all in a bunch of times, and that's why he's turned his small fortune into a massive fortune. I'd like to do that. I like taking risks. I'm a very risky, not reckless chess player. Other video games, I have no problem taking risk. I have no problem bluffing, putting my money on the line, and I would be good at it if I had some money. What I'm not good at is getting started in this life, managing my energy levels and coming to terms with the fact that my brain just doesn't work the way that it used to. I think it's partly my isolation. I took it upon myself to do this by myself, and to fix the internet by yourself is kind of a big task. But I always figured, like, as I figured things out, I would start kind of seeing, realizing the vision. As you get closer to your goal, you do a little bit more, you get closer, you realize that you're getting closer. You see the light at the end of the tunnel. It becomes clearer what you need to do. You learn from your mistakes. You get more familiar with the material. Maybe you start, like, really taking off. Instead of kind of grinding it out, you start making leaps. And sometimes I would make leaps, but very rarely. More often it was like very small steps combined with a lot of just rubbing my eyes and like, God, I'm not sure if this is what I should be working on. Spending hours fixing one little technical problem that it's like, yeah, if I wanted to try and keep working on what I was working on, I'd kind of need to fix this thing, but now I'm second guessing the whole thing. I want to coach people. I'm not somebody who should be coaching people at least in terms of my success track record. But I have a lot of ideas. I've watched a lot of self-help stuff. I've thought a lot about, improving myself. I've done a lot of, like, willpower, abstaining from things, trying to, I don't know, maybe I've been too lazy. I have been quite accepting of my lack of performance. I've been much more I've been maybe way too likely to just pick up my pipe and smoke it and get blasted off onto another level and feel, sometimes good, not always good, but sometimes, feel good about it. It's kind of like an easy reward mechanism. Definitely fallen victim to that. Easy rewards are dangerous, for sure. Now the problem is that it seemed maybe worth the whole process because I would get good ideas and I'd write them down and they'd seem really good. And a lot of them are pretty good, but just haven't been able to get anywhere with it. So there's a lot of reasons why you could join my mastermind community. I do want to talk about the management of the community. So there's, I think holding a discussion group, an online discussion group, is pretty tricky. You got to schedule it. You got to get people in there. You got to get, people to talk, but be respectful and manage all of that. And I've never done it. I've been a part of a couple, like I said earlier, but that's going to be a big trick. Now, as the community grows, and I would want it to grow, I'm all about scaling, right? If I can get 10 people to pay me $10 a month, great. But what about 1,000 or 10,000 or 1,000,000? Let's go. I need big money. I want to put some money to work. I want to hire people to do some cool things. I want to sell some stuff, maybe. I want to make some money. And I want to use all of that money to make more money, or most of it. I don't know. I'm not guaranteeing anything. I've thought a lot about, how I can earn somebody's trust to give me their money. And part of me just thinks hey, make me rich and let's see what I can do with it, because I think that would be fun. But maybe not something that people are willing to open up their own wallet for, because there's a lot of the free content online. People are doing cool shit without your money and telling you about it for free. The difference is I do think I'm different. I'm in a much different boat. I could tell you I haven't even scratched the surface about all the different things, all the different ideas, all the different struggles, all the different topics and interests and whatever. There's a lot going on here, and there's a lot of good things and a lot of bad things. Anyway, I thought about, a lot of different ways to kind of pitch this whole mastermind community. I've done a lot of designs. I can try and pull up some of my designs at some point. I don't want to do it right now because that's going to detract from this whole thing. But graphic design is a powerful thing. And sometimes I make some designs that are pretty cool and I like doing it. But man, it's often a lot jumping through a lot of hurdles. And it's this is weird. This is strangely cool, but difficult at the same time. It's you're exploring some new territory and a lot of things don't work. And, sometimes anyway, when you make something that looks good, you're damn, that looks good. Graphic design is cool in that regard. But it's a good experience of exploring the unknown, because you can do anything. And I mean, on one little image, but even if it's not moving, with just shapes and text and colors and layout and hierarchy of the messaging, and especially once you import other images, and then how you layer them and add texture, and some people are amazingly good at graphic design. Occasionally, if I'm, I don't do a lot of graphic design. I do more time just thinking with my pen and paper, but when I do get in there, sometimes I impress myself. And anyway, I spent a lot of time designing different things about this mastermind, and some of them I just had the wrong graphics in the wrong place. And so I didn't really think much about it. It was more just so a lot of times I just have to start running with something and dodging these kind of bullets as I go. It's things don't work. To start this stream, I don't know if I said this, I had to restart this goddamn stream 7 times. I kept it asked me for a title and a description, and I was really typing a heartfelt here's what I'm gonna do a couple times, and it kept failing. It's what the fuck? I'm surprised it actually went through this time. I changed the category from personal blog to science and technology, and then all of a sudden it let me do it. Anyway, life is all about like dodging these unforeseen, just bullshit problems that sometimes there's a solution to and sometimes there's not. It's like sometimes you can think about it and figure it out, and sometimes you're just wasting your time because there's nothing you're going to do that's going to fix the problem. Sometimes you could have foreseen it, sometimes you can't. And yeah, like that bullshit, especially when you get slowed down by something that just like you couldn't have seen, it seems ridiculous. It seems like, you know, the universe is just pulling a fast one on you. Like, seems like life is a game sometimes and you just get blocked. Like, nope, sorry, can't go that way. Which seems kind of fucked up because life is hard enough and you don't need more just random unforeseen problems. So coming up on 3 hours, let's go. I would like to be a streamer, but I don't know. Like, I don't like how Joe Rogan's podcasts are 3 hours long. I really don't. It's too long. And it's like, I enjoy listening to a lot of it, but I don't enjoy listening to all of it. And they don't, sometimes they'll edit little pieces out, but they really don't edit it down much. Now, most of it's like useful. It's like there's a good chunk of this video that was like, you know, probably a half hour or more where I'm just really banging my head against the wall trying to get through the whole what do I do next process. And less like stream of consciousness, like I'm onto something, I'm articulating what I'm feeling in a way that should make sense to you and that you might be, you know, interested in listening to, like hopefully you are right now. Less of that and more just kind of like not going anywhere. So I like Joe Rogan's podcast. I just wish that they weren't so long sometimes. But as he says, like his format is unique, and you know, and 3 to 5 minutes on most other, you know, like the mainstream media, you don't get that. You can't do the same. You can't dive into things the same way. But here I am, 3 hours later. There's no way anyone's going to watch this, even no matter how interested you are in joining my mastermind or not, or whatever. Like, to stick through a video like this for 3 hours means you're crazy. There, I said it. You're crazy. You're as crazy as I am. Let's go. I don't know, man. I've said some shit that's just puts me at the bottom of the hierarchy pretty quick. But I've also said some shit that puts me at the top of the hierarchy pretty quick. I don't know who you are. I don't know who I am. I don't know where we came from. I don't know where we're going. It's pretty goddamn crazy that we're flying through space on a little blue marble, orbiting around a big orange fireball. And the whole like human nature, like boys and girls and private parts, babies, relationships and jobs and money. It's like a game, right? How about that simulation theory? That's kind of deep. Do we have free will? That's kind of deep. We could talk about some deep shit. We should make a YouTube channel called Deep Shit. We just talk about those like, oh man, that's some deep shit. All the conspiracy theories. Was 9/11 an inside job? How about JFK? How about all the wars? Are they all manufactured and bullshit? People die, that's for damn sure. But what kind of people like send their own countrymen into war to die, knowing that it's bullshit? They're doing it for money. They must worship like some horned beast or something, right? Like, I can't imagine it's any other way. They must think that they're terrible people and have just accepted it and embraced it and drink baby blood to make themselves feel better or something, right? You heard about adrenochrome? That's crazy. I don't think it's biologically true that adrenochrome is like a consumable thing, but maybe that's just the wrong word for what it actually happens. Maybe it's just adrenaline, and maybe you can get secondhand adrenaline. But the whole adrenochrome thing, it's like a special molecule or special substance or something, and I don't think it has any beneficial, desirable effect. So it's probably the wrong term, but Frazzle Drip, Pizzagate, holy shit. I probably would get this video taken down because I just said those words. All of that content disappears from YouTube. But like, we could talk about the stolen election. There's some really fishy stuff going on there. And well, but then you gotta just take a step back and look at the big picture. We got, secret societies, ultra rich people and their secret societies, and you don't know what they're doing. You don't know what they've done. You don't know what kind of like underground facilities they've built. You look at the army, they have a lot of massive underground facilities. They've gotten really good at building these, and some people are making truckloads of money. They've made a career, probably generational income, generational wealth building underground bases. Of course the wealthy have underground bases. But it's like, what else are they doing? Manufacturing COVID viruses? Seems like they did. Now, the whole vaccine, combining that possibility with vaccine mandates is just so batshit crazy. It's like, it's the worst of the worst. And I mean, everyone knows it and everyone's been going fucking crazy about it. But like, we've now become numb to the possibility. Not only it's like we've passed the point of redemption. We're just fucked. Tucker Carlson, there's a small handful of people. Joe Rogan, Jordan Peterson, like some of these guys that don't care. They're willing to stand up and say what they think. But the liberal media, like, I don't know what the fuck it is about some people that think that they can just do whatever they want, or like that they don't have to use their moral judgment. And it kind of has to do with like the liberal, gay, like trans, do whatever you want, kill and eat babies. Like, I'm sorry, but that's what it feels like to me, is like these people have no moral compass and they're probably completely backwards on all of these things, and then they justify it somehow. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong on that. But no, I mean, I don't think the conservatives are necessarily the best people either. I think most people are good people. I just think that there's a lot of bad people on both sides. And I don't think Trump has the answers. I don't think anyone does. I think Trump was probably one of the more vocal, like, drain the swamp people. But he's clearly not the best presidential figure. So I think I'd make a good president. I think Jordan Peterson would make a great president. He's just so smart. And now he does get a little angry sometimes, but he's been through a lot. And he's just, of all the people that I like to listen to, he's probably the wisest, just has so much information and good judgment, in my opinion. I mean, not always, but like, he can see things objectively. So I do like Jordan Peterson. I'd love to talk to Jordan Peterson sometimes and tell him about my Messiah complex. How about that one? I don't want to get into that right now. Kind of do, but 3 hours. Whew. I don't know if I've ever made a 3-hour video before. It's my first time. Got 0 viewers. Let's go. Maybe one day I'll have somebody listen to me. What about Jesus? He was a Messiah. All right, so my mastermind. I could refer to this 3-hour video, and it's like most people aren't going to want to watch it, and that'd probably be a discouraging thing. But maybe some people will be like, all right, if I edit down a couple clips, I just don't know if it's going to let me do it. But I certainly could try. But yeah, obviously a 3-hour long rant is just exhausting for most people, and sort of exhausting for me too. But like, what do I do with this? I feel like there's something here. Most of the time, like, I might go to the gym, or, I do have to pick up my daughter soon. I'd be at something else. I'd be playing StarCraft in a few hours or something, because I'm not sure what to do with it. I don't know if I know how to run ads. I could boost this thing to some people. What if I run a 3-hour long video as an ad? I don't know if they have any limits on that. It's sort of a skip whenever you want thing. So maybe could I get people to watch that long? It's really not about that. It's more like, I did say something earlier about clicking the link. So maybe somebody, if I use this as an ad and link to the Discord, it might actually work. That's a nice thing about like having a YouTube video actually uploaded, because until it's uploaded, you can't run the ad. So it's like, if you want to run an ad, you got to get something uploaded. And then in these cases where it's like, I just do something whimsically like this or impromptu or whatever, now I got a video. All I got to do is set up an ad. And so if I use this opportunity to like say something coherently and get people to click the button, then maybe I can change my life. What if you can help me change my life? Do you believe in destiny? Do you believe that the future is set in stone? What if this is a fork in the road for me? And like, what if this is my last chance to make it as a human being? And that if I get enough help, I could become somebody. But if I don't, I'm going to drink myself to death because I'm tired of trying. I've literally tried, spun my wheels about so many goddamn different things. And most of them are great ideas. It's not really what I need to make money. You need more than an idea. Anyway, coming up on 3 hours here. So if I run this as an ad, yeah, sure, people could watch the full 3 hours. If there's any chance anyone's actually watching this, I'd love to know about it. My email address is mike@lou42.com. I'll write it down for you. You can see that it's not a mirror. Let me make this little L an actual L. That's my email address. mike@lou42.com. Let me know if you've watched this, if you think, have any thoughts about my video. God, I've been reaching out online all the time. I can be kind of angry, like, and a little bit too hostile sometimes. So I think I might be off-putting, but I've been trying to get people to see, to listen to me, to see things my way, and to maybe help me to try and organize people, because like nobody's ever, like I said, nobody's really asked me to join their team. I mean, I like maybe a basketball team or something, but like, I mean, like a crew, like a club, well, I did join a fraternity once, and that was definitely a very organized system that had been in place for 100 years or more than 100 years, 150 years. And that was interesting. I did join the men's group. That's interesting. Discussion groups are interesting. Like forming an organization, sort of like the essence of forming a company. Like you gotta lead people and manage people and money and like make shit happen. But some people get really good at it. Like with practice, you just learn what works and what doesn't work. You just instinctually know what you need to do next. And I don't know. I don't know if I'd be good at it, but I like a chance. Now, short circuiting the system, the whole financial, I shouldn't say financial, the system of economic pressure that means that most people just need to work full-time jobs, and then they don't have any time or energy to try and start something, and then, all the business people who do like work full-time jobs and start something anyway, which is crazy and remarkable and impressive. And then the 90% of those people who fail, we have like then thousands of the top like 1% of the population who are those that have succeeded. And it makes us seem like everybody's successful and that it's pretty easy to make products and sell them and make truckloads of money. And so it's like it's crazy mind fuck. so much success and so much but there is so much opportunity. And so I'd like to hunt down the opportunities. I'd like to discuss, like I said, these big, unicorn companies, especially the tech ones where it's just software. Okay, here's the thing about the WebOS. What if we could make this software ecosystem, design and development? It's like go from idea to product, cross-platform, like web apps, whatever. Make a TikTok competitor, a Twitter competitor, a Facebook competitor, really quick and easy. And then test some new features for it and do that way faster. What if we got good at spinning these things up? And I mean, you don't have to launch a new network, but you create a network and then you start testing new features and you see what works. And you maybe each group, each club that you can join or leave or whatever has different features. This is what Discord is, a social network. It's not great at managing its members. I've used it and it's kind of wonky, but I've used other WordPress is decent in some regards, but they all have struggles. And I think if we designed a better system, we could do well. It's really about designing the building blocks, the software building blocks, which are modules, packages, themes, plugins, widgets, buttons, fonts, really images. They're all little pieces. And more complex software is just a assembly and orchestration of all the little pieces. And so finding all these pieces and weaving them together. The point I was going to make earlier is, what if you could do that massively better than the competition? You'd have an unfair advantage when it comes to media, software, business, whatever. If your software systems were hands down better, where it would save you money, make you money, well, I mean, from the software standpoint, if you can just design and develop the software faster, less errors, less bugs, more, better features, have more people use it and give feedback and improve it and do that faster so you can roll out new features faster. Every software company I've ever known has a feature list the size of Mount Everest. And then the number of features they're working on is 1 to 5. They can only do a very, very small piece of what they want to do because the time it takes to develop takes weeks to design and develop a new feature. And so that everybody, there's millions and millions and millions of these software people around the world stuck in this loop of designing and developing features and to no end. And some of them might be useful, but a lot of them are that's not actually what you should be working on, because there's some way more important things. A lot of times it's way simpler things, way easier things. I can't tell you how many times I'm looking for a feature in a program and I go check the message boards and there's thousands of people from 5 years ago and a whole army of people since then complaining, this is the easiest thing. Why don't you're a $1 billion company. Why don't you fix this thing? It's been 5 years since this post. And then some manager is like, oh, well, we're working on it. It's coming soon. And that was 2 years ago and it's still not there. It's what the fuck? Well, so life isn't perfect. And that's kind of the crazy thing that I've come to realize, is that it's easy to complain when you see things that aren't perfect, but then you're kind of taking for granted everything that exists. The fact that it exists is way more remarkable than the fact that it's not perfect. Okay. 3 hours, 3 minutes and 33 seconds. I'm going to try and create a mastermind. I sort of have the server set up, but I created so many test chat rooms and roles, and I just boogered the whole thing up. And Discord is kind of buggy sometimes, especially when you get into these lesser used features like setting up your server. It's most people don't even have a server. Most people spend most of their time just hopping in and out of voice comms, but setting up the server, monetizing it, setting up the onboard, all these features. It's there's a lot of servers out there who seem to have done all this, but every time I did it, 4 times now, I've run into just bugs that I have to close the program and exit out because its form validator won't let me cancel or proceed. And I can't figure out how to get out of the screen, and I couldn't switch screens. I had to close the goddamn program because it was so buggy. It was still running. It hadn't frozen, but every time I clicked cancel, it'd be no, we're not we're not allowing you to cancel. This form is invalid. But I couldn't figure it out. I cleared everything. I reset it. I tried to. Anyway, Discord was buggy. So it doesn't give me a good feeling to try and use that as a platform to build a mastermind community. I've thought about using Facebook groups, but I don't like Facebook because I'm connected with a bunch of friends and family from a long time ago, and I don't want my activity being broadcast to them. And that's what Facebook does. They just don't, I don't know if they don't care, or like, it's weird. So I don't use Facebook. I just left. I'd rather be anonymous. I'd rather not be bothered by, you know, I want to work on shit without being, having it affect my real life. So what was I saying? I just completely lost my train of thought. Has that ever happened to you? My 0 viewers. All right. So what am I doing here? Mastermind community. I have one set up. I probably want to redo the server. But because I have one set up, maybe it's just time to roll this ad out. Just this video, 3 hours long. And link it to the mastermind. It's set up to collect the $10, and I'm not sure if you can join for free right now. I'd have to check the settings, and I don't even know which setting it is, to be honest. But could somebody watch this video and give me $10 a month to help me become a better person, to pursue my dreams? Or does it fall flat and depress the fuck out of me again, and then I just give up with it all? Now, it's obviously a half-assed, quarter-assed, just whip it together, ramble on for 3 hours while doing drugs, and then whipping together some link to a shit Discord server that's so messy and just has all kinds of shit. Now, I could work on cleaning it up, but it's like all these little things take so much time, and I don't have that time. I have to leave in an hour. And I do need to edit this down, but I can't do it in an hour, not this 3 hours long. Did this even help me today? I don't know. Like, I'm going to come back tomorrow or maybe next week, or maybe not at all. Maybe this video lives online in silence. Maybe I never hear from it. Maybe I completely forget about it. And then in like 10 years, some random occasion, it's like, shows up or blows up or whatever, that some guy made this video 3 hours long. Oh, man. Life is fucked. I'm going to eat these pretzels. But I'm not going to stop streaming. You know why? Why should I? I'm not going to do anything with this video. I'm not going to run ads. Like, who am I kidding? Nobody's going to watch this thing. People skip. The fall off rate for any video, especially an ad, like the skip rate, is so high. It's like, I don't know. These are some good pretzels, though. They have peanut butter inside. So did I say everything I have to say? I don't know if I made the point that I want my mastermind community to be the best goddamn community in the world. I want it to be fun. I want you to meet badass people. And the problem is not everyone is a badass by definition, almost. Like, so we need a way to promote the best people to the top. Well, it doesn't even have to be the top necessarily. Just you need to recognize the best people and have kind of a concentration of competence. Because not everyone is equally, like, if you have a discussion group with 1,000 people and you let everyone say something, you're gonna have a bunch of dummies just like, or a lot of people saying something that like might be true but is less relevant, or just more of a personal tirade or whatever. You don't want that. Well, sometimes, different ideas are useful, but there has to be a hierarchy of competence. So I'm sort of looking for leaders that can help me. I don't want to have to be on Discord all the time. Now, in the beginning, I don't mind it. I want to make friends. I want to meet people. I want to, shoot the shit, have conversations with somebody other than myself. Yeah. So, but I want to make money. What if in 10 years I can assemble the world's smartest, wealthiest people? What if I get hell bent on finding them, getting their names and contact information, figuring out what makes them the most badass, smartest, wealthiest people in the world? There's some people who are doing this online, like Noah Kagan, I think his name is, comes to mind. He interviews wealthy people, asks them how they got there and that sort of a thing, and that's cool. But like, I also was watching a video about all these elite like resort clubs. I mean, the Bilderbergs was in there, but there's some other ones that are these like kind of in the middle of nowhere, $1 million like ranch style resorts or whatever, where you can cost a lot of money to join, and then when you go, you're surrounded by other wealthy people. It's like that's the place to be if you're at least trying to like maintain or elevate your socioeconomic status, right? So that's kind of what I'm thinking. I don't want to be elitist. I don't want to be like, or an asshole like Andrew Tate or whatever. But I do think organizing people to be the best they can be is important. I think there's a handful of radio shows that, are popping up where like these guys are gathering together and like hosting a little podcast or whatever. I wouldn't mind doing that. I don't want to like fall into a rut of like having a radio show every day and like doing some structured content. Like that's just not me. I want to come and go as I please, come and go as I please, and maybe just dip out for a few months. Now, the thing that I'm realizing here that I was realizing a few hours ago is that my microphone might be complete shit and this sound might not be picked up properly. I'm really hoping that it is. Somebody was saying the other day that my volume was really low, and because I'm barely getting a second dot out of these 6 little dots, like it can't possibly be picking up my voice loud enough. If I'm yelling in this microphone like this, then there's got to be something going on there. It's possible that you can't, if you couldn't have heard a word that I said this entire time. Well, the great thing is that I didn't save this to my hard drive, so it's not taking up any space, and I don't have to upload it. It's already uploaded. That's pretty cool. Streaming instead of saving. It's like, oh, what does that even mean? That means I'm saving this to YouTube's hard drive instead of my own. I'm not even saving it locally. Now, like I said earlier, if I wanted to edit it, I'd have to download the whole damn thing if I want to edit it on my machine. I don't have the file on my hard drive. It's a YouTube video. I don't even know if YouTube will let me download it. Sometimes they don't. Anyway, yeah, so I probably should wrap this up because I don't know if I want to sit here for the rest of my time before I have to leave. But I did give you my email address, and look at my fancy graphics system here. I like to draw. I like to, I'm not good at it, but I like to draw quickly, like quick little stick figures. Oh, wait, no, I'm showing you the wrong side here. I take a lot of notes, and like, nobody gives a fuck about your idea. I have so many notes. There's like these ideas that just hit me as like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. This is a design for the cubbies that I just built. I can show you them upstairs. This was kind of like before they were built, and now they're upstairs, but I don't feel like doing that right now. I wanted to show you some of the little sketches that I've made. Because while I take a lot of notes and I try and use like different size text to kind of like make things stand out, he's my little time money person. The 3-minute, 3-step, $3 video marketing mini course. It was like a little ticket that I was going to make. God, that was a long, it was weeks ago. I haven't really thought about that in a while. I tried it, sort of like I quarter-assed it and then gave up. It's a pretty good theme of mine. Here's some cool layouts. I like to draw things that could be useful, but goddamn, there's so many stories I could tell in my notes. Like these things kind of jog some idea that I was kind of wrestling with, and that's the cool part about taking notes, is that you get to go back through your notes and see some cool little sketches. Oh, look at that guy holding the sign. Oh, look, I'm talking here about a digital mastermind. Ooh, the 3 W's of the web. I started with 3. I changed it to 5. But it's like, these are some of the major web softwares that need to be fixed, that, or at least considered, when it comes to fixing the internet. Wikipedia, WordPress, Webflow, WebKit, and Webpack. The last 2 are a little bit more technical, but Wikipedia and WordPress are like some of the biggest players on the internet. And Webflow is kind of a interesting, this is sort of like a futuristic design tool, but it's got a long way to go. I have a funny feeling that all of this software technology is that we're kind of replaying what we've already done in the past, and that it's sort of like, I don't know, we're like reusing technology from a future time, or really from like when we played the game before. These are some cool little kind of web layouts there. I'm kind of impressed with, not even really sure what I'm illustrating here. Usually, sometimes I'm trying to like remind myself of like a vision that I just had, but I'm trying to find some sketches. Like I often draw stuff, like people and shapes and stuff. I wanted to create a little drawing course, like how to draw quickly. Not necessarily good, but how to draw quickly. And maybe, some of the more useful things like wireframes and you just saw I drew some cabinets, the cubbies. Ooh, here we go. Bam! Those are some cool drawings. Not bad, not great, but it's like how to draw quickly. You just want to, it's better to just do things quickly than perfectly. Yes. Some more drawings. I'm not a great drawer, but I can draw like some things quickly. Sometimes I'll go online looking for help, and sometimes I'm just experimenting and kind of messing around. But you should probably be able to tell kind of what I'm doing here just by looking at it. Having like drawing people interacting with like certain iconic icons, I guess, like a light bulb is like an idea and he's like pointing at it. It's not, I didn't get the pose right. Posing is hard. Anyway, it's all about the right message. I was thinking about making a video with like that guy, really. I could just like take a picture of it and use him in my video, but have him holding up little signs that say stuff. because it really just puts like a focus on those words. And it's, I mean, I keep thinking like, what kind of video style, editing style that I need, what kind of typography, what kind of design. And you see these YouTube videos with all kinds of like badass graphics. People are like hiring on Fiverr and Upwork and shit. Where is that thing? Did you just see that thing floating around? I could see it on my screen, but I couldn't see it in real life, and it's allegedly right in front of me here. Anyway, so yeah, storyboarding content for videos. Here's some bad drawings. Like I just messed up a lot of these poses. I'm just like, yeah, let's just throw an arm that way or bend a leg this way because I'm not as used to it. Feet are hard. Poses are hard. Stick figures aren't, at least a simple stance for a stick figure is pretty easy. Well, so this is a cool meme. They're watching. I'm looking for smart and wealthy people. I don't know if my notes impress you. Probably not. But if you don't know how to draw, learning to draw could make you a better person. Learning to take notes can make you a better person. Learning to use Notion or Figma could make you a better person. Learning to make programs, interfaces, depending on what you want to do, like there's a lot of skills that could like turn you from a doctor into a medical software producer, like, or a lawyer. You know, anyone can make software and make software better, make it nicer to use, like look better and more user friendly. The problem is, and here's the big secret, software is naturally hyper fragmented. You have all these people competing because if I want to make your software better, I can't. Like it's your software. So if I need better software, I have to make my own. And then somebody else, you know, likes what you did, but you missed a few things. I got to make my own software company to make it better. And so we see this. You can go to these sites like Capterra, which catalog all the software. Most of it are like web apps these days. It's the best way to make your software than what you put on a CD-ROM. Well, you have Adobe, which is not, you know, it's premium desktop software. I guess it's all digital downloads these days, but web software is like no install required, works anywhere from any machine. It's pretty useful. But there are hundreds upon hundreds of competitors in every single software niche. And it's crazy. It's like, how are there that many people who have the time and money and success and, you know, ability to create a software company? I'd struggle just getting started. Yeah, there's all these people competing for it. And I think a lot of it has to do with getting the money to get started. I just don't want the money to get started. I'd rather start by myself. Well, I'm asking you for money. I actually want to get rich and maybe get a lot of money from people donating me money, sort of like by this mastermind community. Now, I don't really think of it that way. I think of it more as like, I want to create a badass community that's worth. What if I create an inner circle in my mastermind community that costs $100 a month? You don't have to sign up for it if you don't think it's worth it. But like, what if I can make it worth it? And then the people who sign up are like, holy shit. And then they meet other people who are also like badasses, who are like-minded and who maybe have earned it. Maybe it's just because they can afford to pay $100 a month. But then through networking, maybe you get a better job. Maybe you get an investment opportunity, or maybe you get a mentor who can teach you how to do something that you don't know how to do, who can help you make way more money than you did otherwise. I think it could easily be worth way, way, way more money. But in the beginning, I got nothing. I don't have the system set up. I don't even know if it'll work. You know, having a mentor successfully train a student or an apprentice or whatever to become a better person is probably like a 1 in 1,000 occurrence. Like, it's not easy. It's not going to happen most of the time. And so most people would fail, and most people might get discouraged and not even want a mentor or not be willing to, you know, like there's a lot of hurdles to overcome. However, I'm trying to justify me asking for money. Is like, I don't really think of it as a donation, but it is obviously at a certain point. I'm trying to shortcut the standard, you know, go get a job to make your paycheck system I'm trying to get people to pay me money to create a mastermind group. And there are people who do this. Some of them charge like tens of thousands of dollars and shit. So, but I'm not qualified. I'm having massive case of imposter syndrome here, and that's why partially why I'm publishing this video is I haven't been able to get out of my own way to just be like, hey, like I'm not guaranteeing anything. I can't. Like I can't guarantee you success. I can't guarantee you money. I can't guarantee you that you're going to get your $10 back. Now, what I have thought about doing is saying like, hey, if I become successful and you need your, let's say you're a member for a couple of years and you need some money to, help you out, and you're like, hey, I've been paying into this thing for a couple of years. I remember what you said, and I actually could really use like $500 right now. If I'm a millionaire, like fuck yeah, if you help me and I know who you are, like there's no way in hell I would not give you $500 back. So like I don't want it to be about the money. I just want to I need money to help do things. I actually have been spending hundreds of dollars on ads and all kinds of stupid shit, experimenting and failing. And so like I just don't have the stomach for more failure. I need to get a win. And so maybe this video will help. How do I justify people watching a 3-hour long video? I don't fucking know. I would say maybe, I just suggest that people, if they want to watch it, chunk it off in pieces or whatever, like, or just don't watch the whole thing because it's long and I don't want to, I want to focus on making shorter, sweeter content because like I said, I feel like Joe Rogan's 3-hour long content. Every time I see like even a 45-minute video or longer, and there's a lot of 1 hour, 1.5 hour plus, videos out there. It's often just like somebody recording an event, a discussion, and those go for, they can easily go. It's not hard to speak with somebody for over an hour about something you're passionate about, especially when you think you have an audience, especially if you do have an audience of like millions, then you're willing to present yourself. You're, getting in the ring and like battling intellectually. And so that your energy, that's this whole, external processing thing. When you're on stage, you get into a different mindset. Joe Rogan and Louis C.K. were talking about this in terms of stand-up comedy and like on one of his Joe Rogan's podcasts about just that whole magical effect of being on stage and or just literally, and it's the same just one-on-one or in his podcast or whatever, like when you're being recorded, when you're speaking to an audience, whether it's live or recorded, probably more so when you're live, your nerves are a little bit higher, but you can almost like feel the energy, right? I'd like to help people become better speakers. There's a good guy on YouTube and other social media, Vin Jiang or something like that. He's this little Asian guy. I think he has a British accent though. He's funny and he's fun to listen to. He's a good communicator and he has a class about communicating. He uses his hands and he's like, about public speaking. I think that most people could become better speakers and it would help them. I also think that, going live on the internet is a great way. Is just like, this is the world stage now, right? Like you can broadcast to anyone and there's millions and millions and millions of people who are generating massive audiences and getting practice speaking. I think that's a huge confidence boost. So if you join my mastermind community, we can work on if there's anyone who's interested in becoming a speaker or like publishing content or whatever. It's hard, man. It's so hard. There's so much technical bullshit, but that's all stacked on top of just your human bullshit. And then like, that's the starting point for what are you going to actually say? Like, do you know your shit and what topic and what scope? And like, are you going to say or do something that, anyone else isn't doing? And that's all pretty hard because it's so competitive. Someone's already doing it. So you have to get in line and kind of compete with everyone else, unless you're just very unique and find something very new and fresh. I have not figured this out yet. I've thought about it for years. I did video production in high school. I graduated high school in 2003. And that was like right when YouTube was like born or whatever. So like since the dawn of internet video, I've been sort of into video production. It's just making a video is hard. There's so much potential. What do you say first? What do you say next? Like, what kind of visuals can you do? Now that I'm into graphic design, like, I love documentaries with nice like titles and animations and like just kind of that visual structure and hierarchy and kind of just brings so much more to the table. And so but then it's way more possibility. And there's too many decisions to be made about what does it look like? What do you say first? What do you say next? Is that the right thing? Scratch it all out, redo, rewrite it, burn out, don't do anything. That's me in a nutshell. 3 hour and 30 minutes. Got to go in about a half hour. I'm going to take a minute to just relax, and then I might say a few last things before I sign off. This is crazy. I can't believe I said all that shit. It's true though. I don't like to lie. If you want to ask me about anything I said, feel free. I have thought about trying to just start this mastermind thing without charging money, because I do want to help people. There's probably a lot of kids out there like I was that don't have any money to spend, don't have a credit card even. Sure as hell aren't going to ask their parents for it, and so they're just going to skip the ad and get back on with whatever they're doing. And that if I were offering it for free, maybe I could convince more people to join and help and get something from it. But I think the money part is important. Now, if I started for free and got people in there, I could ask people like, hey, are you willing to chip in? And it could be completely optional. It's just, in some ways, it's like the money adds some credibility to it. Like, oh, and I don't think I've said yet, but I would plan to use all the money for ads to grow the community, at least in the short term. So like, when I get my first 10 subscribers, I'll have an extra $100 a month. Then if I get to 1,000 subscribers, skipped 100 subscribers, I get $1,000 a month. 1,000 subscribers, I get $10,000 a month. And I could use all of that for ads and just blow this thing up into like, what if I could get 1 million subscribers to pay me $10 a month to make this mastermind that could become the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, the greatest organization history of mankind. That's the vision I have. I don't know if anyone else would see it. And I don't know if I would, my little spinny thing go. I don't know if I would allow that to happen or like $10 seems way too cheap. Too good to be true. But honestly, I've been thinking about reversing the whole money thing. Like, if you're a real badass and you have millions of dollars, couldn't you just give somebody $1,000 without thinking about it? Especially if you thought that it could help. Like, imagine if there was a group of people who welcomed you in and offered to pay for like whatever you needed to help get you started making money, taught you how to do it. And then you started making tons of money and you could pay them back. Doesn't seem like that crazy of an idea. It's like, that's how life should work. It's just, I don't know why it doesn't right now. It's like, life is so hard. It's hard to get into law school or med school, or even, I couldn't get into Michigan State University, the school that my parents went to, like undergraduate. I was deferred. I was a reject. I was one of the smartest kids in my class. I just stopped doing the homework. So much potential here. It's a shame this is a 3-hour video and that nobody's going to watch it. I could just boost it, but I think I dropped the F-bomb enough times. There's no way that this video is going live on advertisement. I'd have to start over. I could start over though. I could explain in the next video. Excuse me. I could explain in the next video that I have a 3.5 hour long rant I don't know. Let's see if I can edit this thing down. Maybe I'll use the next few minutes here and test out the in-browser YouTube video YouTube video editing system. Man, I have a lot of ideas about editing videos on the web because it's not easy. There's only a few video editors. Well, there's more and more these days, but it's just not, it's kind of like the way the web works is to even stream a video, let alone edit it and scrub back and forth and like cut it up and, do all that stuff. It's just not as conducive like via a website, or at least not traditionally in the past. And usually it's like you need a external hard drive or something, or somewhere, storage, and then some beefy computer to process all of it on, a local copy of the video. So there's a system, a web app basically called frame.io. It's like a video collaborative editing system that I've been looking at that is actually free for 2 users to get started. It's a whole can of worms that I haven't had the stomach for yet. But I've been thinking about trying it out for collaborative video production. So like if you hire an editor, they're working on the video, you want to be able to like open it and even like open it in an editor to see kind of like, maybe play around with it. I like to edit shit sometimes. And anyway, so to send the video files back and forth and edit it and whatever, there's a lot of friction and potential there for making a lot of money. It's like a file system for the web that includes support for video and code like Git and packages like NPM or whatever. It's all the same thing. The web file system, package manager, version control system, the web operating system, that's my dream. That's the holy grail of the web and software and the internet and everything. And that's it's a multi-billion-dollar idea if executed properly. And there's so much room for, like even if somebody tries to beat, it's like it'll be hard to pull that one off so that it's just kind of fixed once and for all sort of a thing. And I think I know how to do it. I don't think we're so far from it. We're kind of drifting slowly towards it in certain ways, but yeah. So anyway, editing video on the web is tricky, but I think we'll make leaps and bounds. There's a lot of streaming protocols and how that works, like the nuts and bolts of how you would make a video editor. Even like I'm not real sure how video files are encoded and how a software like even a desktop video editor, they like all the video is just referencing different parts of other videos. They're not actually, I think they do actually make copies or duplicate the videos and kind of pre-render stuff. They must. But anyway, it's a whole thing. But I think there's a lot of potential there. And now I think is the time to end the stream. But I don't want to for some reason, because I don't think that's a good ending. I was just getting a little frazzled. And I don't know if anyone's still watching this. What are you thinking? What are you feeling right now? Like you're kind of exhausted and want me to end? I should probably finish strong from now on. It's not some. This video is way too long, and I wouldn't expect somebody to feel good about listening to me this long, and then like even listening to this right now, you're probably like, okay, like are we done? Like now if some people don't like, especially if you've watched this long, you're not going to want to exit before I've actually finished. Because what if I'm about to say something really important or really cool or inspiring? Did we come from nothing, or was something always here? It's one of the most powerful things in the universe. The paradox of existence. Yeah, my dad taught me that. So I will end at that. If you like this, don't forget to subscribe.